Aita for telling my fiance that his family was too nice when I met them. I, 27F, recently met my fiance's, 31M, family for the first time. We have been together for 4 years, but we spent 2 of those years in my home country, and then moved to his country after I finished my graduate program. We didn't settle in his home state, but I kept asking to meet his parents because he's met mine multiple times, and he always said that they're just very private people, or kind of old-fashioned, so we should wait until we're engaged. Weird, but some people are just weird, so I didn't push on it. Well, we're engaged now. So last weekend we finally made the trip. And I don't know how else to describe it, but something felt really off about the entire thing. They weren't rude. I want to preface by saying that. It's on the contrary. They were nice to a degree that felt contrived and honestly a little scary. His mom kept hugging and touching me and holding my hands, asking what she can do for me, how she can make me comfortable, that it's so nice to finally meet me. His dad barely said a word to me, and that juxtaposition was a lot. But I felt love-bombed a little. She made all my favorite foods and kept anxiously asking if anything was wrong, if she could refill my drink. She even offered me her shirt when I mentioned I thought it looked really nice. I thought maybe she was just anxious. Ick. His little sisters asked polite questions to me, but still, it felt so surface level. His mom was dominating everything. It kind of felt like a job interview. Like, what are you looking for in a marriage, and have you heard much about our little town, with palpable relief when I said no, because I'm not from the US. She asked about my past relationships and was very interested in why me and my past boyfriend broke up. I specifically remember her asking, how hard did you fight for it? Or did you just leave? And that was so weird. I just felt oddly interrogated and coddled at the same time. I'm not explaining myself well, but my gut told me to get out of that house. My fiancé barely spoke all night, and any time I looked to him for reassurance he just smiled and looked down at his hands. Which is not like him. At all. A couple nights in and I told him I was feeling kind of weird and wanted to go home. He asked me why, and I told him that maybe I'm just not used to American socializing, that I just feel a little tired and overwhelmed, and that his family is really, really nice and I'm not sure how to handle it. I was trying to not be rude, but we've always emphasized honesty in our relationship, and I thought if this was a cultural thing maybe we could talk about it and overcome it together. He got really defensive though, saying I was being dramatic, rude, and xenophobic, when his family had gone out of their way to make me feel welcome. I apologized and said I was grateful, that I just felt a little weird, and he said he was done talking about it. We drove home and he won't talk about it anymore, will hardly even talk to me. His mom, on the other hand, has been texting me non-stop since she met me. How happy she was to meet me, how beautiful I am, and how she hopes we won't wait too long to get married and have kids. I just feel so unsettled. My fiancé thinks I am an ungrateful asshole, and maybe I am. Am I? I just feel so out of sorts over this. Any advice, criticism, anything is welcome. Update, talked with fiancé, at a complete loss. I finally got my fiancé to talk to me and it was not a good conversation. I apologized again for coming across as ungrateful, and he said that the way I reacted to his family told him everything he needed to know about why he was so reluctant to let me meet them in the first place. He said I should be grateful they welcomed me with such open arms, and that I needed to remember that the only reason I'm doing so well in this country is because I am dependent on him to be here. That had me so angry, I literally can't stand being talked down to. I said I felt like this was way out of proportion, and he then accused me of cheating on him. He demanded to see my phone because apparently, according to him, I am intentionally trying to sabotage our relationship by saying his family is too nice so that he'll call off the engagement, I can call him the asshole, and I get to go off with my so-called fling. I am not a cheater, so I said go ahead, look through my phone. He scrolled through my texts for a bit, my internet search history, my social media search history, and my camera roll. As expected, he found nothing, but he doubled down and said that this was a serious problem for him and that he needs to reevaluate our entire relationship. I am so baffled. He has never blown up on me like this. I feel like I don't even recognize who I am getting married to. WTF do I do? Am I actually this much of an asshole? Edit for clarity, I didn't articulate myself well in the first post, so here is a more extensive rundown of what happened at his home. His mom touched my hair and kept hugging me, grabbing my arm, she even pinched my cheeks a couple of times. These could all be very normal things, I am coming to understand this by reading the comments. But this paired with everything else just made me feel like more of a doll. She said I was more beautiful than I imagined, multiple times kept saying I was beautiful and perfect for her son. She grabbed my shirt because she said it looked so good on me and wanted to feel it. She insisted I sit down next to her and every so often kept saying she was so glad to finally meet me and that it feels like she had been waiting for me forever. She served my plate for me and kept filling it with food even when I said thank you, it was so yummy, but I'm full. She kept bringing me drinks even when I said I wasn't thirsty. I don't handle alcohol well, so I try not to drink. I would try to decline but she just kept insisting, so then I felt like I couldn't. She was asking me what I was looking for in a relationship, what kind of wife I wanted to be, what my past relationships were like, why I left my exes, what my thought process and reasoning was. And since we left, she has been texting me almost this whole time. Asking me to promise I'll come back ADN visit, asking when the wedding is, asking me to not put it off for long. Asking when we're going to have kids. Asking if we're trying for kids. I hope this provides more clarity for why I felt the way that I did, even if I shouldn't have said it to my fiancé because I was a guest in their home and a receiver of their hospitality. Edit 2, many people have asked and I guess it might be more relevant than I thought. Fiancé is white and I am Asian. No, I was not born in the US. We met when he was teaching English in my home country. Final update, it's over. I want to start this out by saying thank you so much to all of the commenters and people who messaged me private words of support and comfort. I have been really slow to catch up to what is happening to me, and though a lot of the comments scared me, I started coming to the natural conclusion that they were right. I felt more and more unsettled as the hours went on. Fiancé's mother kept texting me, and he didn't text me from work like he usually does. He got back late. His job is labor-intensive and requires long hours. When he got back I was waiting and told him I wanted to talk, right now, because the way events are unfolding is unacceptable to me, the effort I've put into our relationship, and is leaving too many questions unanswered and creating even more. He instantly lit up and demanded to see my phone again. I said I would not give him my phone unless he gave me his, and he vehemently denied, saying I was the one causing problems so it was his right to look through my phone, not his. At this point, I was starting to feel really scared of him. I am physically much smaller than him and this has never felt more apparent to me than in that moment. He was speaking really loudly and really closely to me, telling me that his family and him were willing to give me a second chance if I behaved better this time, that he knew I had it in me to be polite because I always acted that way back in my home country, and that no one else in America would put up with this bullshit, so I should consider myself lucky he didn't do more to expose my cheating. I asked if he was threatening me, and he again demanded to see my phone. I said no, though not as firmly as the first time, and he stormed off to the bathroom and turned the shower on. I was really, really scared. So many of you told me to look him and his family up and I didn't because I honestly thought it was silly. But I did. Right there in our living room. Turns out, he did have a past girlfriend, though he's always maintained he has only had short flings and never a serious relationship. She disappeared 8 years ago and he was considered a suspect for a while. I couldn't find much in the articles because I honestly didn't know how to dig further. I don't know if anything ever happened with it, if he still is a suspect, though I guess he couldn't be to teach English in another country. I don't know how it works. I know he was never convicted, but whether or not he did it is irrelevant to the fact that he lied. He lied so colossally about something so huge. I was genuinely so scared that I started shaking. I couldn't think or do anything. It was the middle of the night and he was in the shower and I was just so scared. I really missed my mom and home so much more than I have since I left. I locked myself in our bedroom and called her and she answered, despite it being the middle of the night, and tried to explain what was happening as best I could. My parents told me to leave all of my things except for family photos, heirlooms, and my work things and go to a hotel. Not to say a word to him and just do it as quickly as possible. I told them he was in the shower so they thought I would have enough time to do it without him noticing. I got all my stuff together as quickly as I could. I think I forgot some jewelry but it's okay. My dad sent me money for a hotel and that's where I am right now. I took an Uber about 2 hours away from the city on a separate account I made that night, as I don't have a car here. My fiancé started messaging me about 30 minutes into the drive asking what was going on. I sent him the links to the articles I read and said I was feeling really scared and lied to and that I thought our relationship was over. If he thought I was cheating, clearly we don't trust each other. He called me so many times, kept sending that I was a bitch for accusing him of something he didn't do, for bringing up such a sore subject when he wasn't ready to talk about it. He said he wished he never met me and that I should think long and hard about what I'm doing because I don't fully understand the consequences of being alone in America. That no one will want me like him, that he was doing me a favor. I just ignored it. I was crying so hard the Uber driver actually asked me if I was okay. Then, his mom started calling and texting me. She said she knows it sounds scary but her son is a good person and he had nothing to do with it, and that if we just get married and have kids things will really smooth out. I couldn't take it anymore. I just wanted to go home. Everything was clicking into place way too much. His parents' treatment of me, why he kept demanding to see my phone, why it took so long for me to go to his hometown and meet his family. My friend walked me through everything and it all made sense. My body was so overcome by the stress and fear that I couldn't stand to be there for one more second. I am at the hotel now. All location services on my phone are disabled and my dad bought me a plane ticket home. I emailed my job and told them a family emergency came up and I would no longer be able to offer my services to them. Most of my clothes are still at the home I shared with my fiance and I don't think I'll ever get them back because I don't want to go back, and it's not like I can ask my friends to get it for me. I have some friends here but they're not close, and it's too hard to ship them. Anyway, that's it. I sent him a text saying that the engagement is called off. There's a lot of other things to address, like the fact that we have shared accounts, he has my visa information, etc. I don't want to speculate over what happened with him and his past girlfriend because I don't know. They never found her, and my heart breaks for her. He just lied about it. For years. And tried to do everything he could to keep it from me. I am too scared to ever be comfortable in that relationship again, and I think it's time for me to go home. Thank you so much again to everyone who sent me comforting words of support and kindness. I don't know if I would have come to the same conclusions if not for your comments. Hopefully next time we meet I'll be back home with my family and friends. Stories number 2. Aita for telling my fiancé him going for a late night walk with his coworker was not okay. My fiancé and I have been partners for 3 years and are getting married in June. He works from home 2-3 days a week and goes in on the remaining days. He isn't close with any of his coworkers since I've heard him often complain about how most of his coworkers are much older, except with this girl who I think joined a few months back. I've heard him say her name a few times, mostly harmless stuff I guess about how she recommended a show to him or had him try out her lunch, but NGL sometimes it's still a little annoying how much he values her input because it's a bit out of character. She's also the only coworker that I've heard him talk about random stuff with on his work calls. I'm not saying any of this is wrong but I just want to be honest about the stuff that's been on my mind because it's possible I might be in the wrong here. He's been gone for a work trip to another branch with some other colleagues of his, including her. Last night, I texted him if he was done with dinner and was good to talk. He said he was just taking a stroll with her. I froze for like a good couple of seconds, asked who else is there. He said noon they just decided to take a walk and check the area around their hotel out. I was not okay with this, told him this was crazy disrespectful and called him. He declined my call, and texted back saying there's nowhere for him to talk to me in private at the moment, that he'll call me back. I called again, he answered. I told him this was not okay at all, what was he doing taking a walk so late with her? He just responded breezily because I guess she was close, and just said I'll call you back when I get back to the hotel. 15 minutes later he called me and I kind of went off on him. I said he had no business being out this late alone with a woman as someone who's about to be my husband in less than 3 months. He said he was just bored, she was the only person he was cool with and they just went for a walk, that my implication was hurtful to him. I calmed down, said I was sorry but I was just not okay with it, so I'd appreciate it if he didn't do anything alone with her for my comfort. He said fine and then said he was planning on going for a post-work lunch with her at one of the places they saw on their walk. I again asked who else, and he said just the 2 of them. I asked him to please invite someone else too. He said they don't vibe with anyone else. We had a bit of a tense back and forth, and he relented saying he'd invite someone else too but it would ruin it and the fact I couldn't trust him was so disappointing. I tried to explain that it wasn't about trust, just my peace of mind, but I did a bad job of explaining that. Today, he responded to my good morning messages very curtly. I know he's angry with me. Was I the AH? Relevant comments. Commenter. I've heard him say her name a few times, mostly harmless stuff I guess about how she recommended a show to him or had him try out her lunch, but NGL sometimes it's still a little annoying how much he values her input because it's a bit out of character. He took a show recommendation from her and tried the food she had. The fact that you think that's him, valuing her input, so much says more about you than him. I said he had no business being out this late alone with a woman as someone who's about to be my husband in less than 3 months. It's incredibly normal to walk around the area after dinner when you're at a work conference and guess what, sometimes that means you're with someone that is the opposite sex. It's not a big deal. YTA. Reply. I said it's out of character because it takes me ages to convince him to watch a show with me that I'm invested in. And I understand I may have overreacted to the stroll, that me being uncomfortable about it may be a me problem, and that's what I wanted to know. Commenter 1, has he ever done anything suspicious? I don't think taking her recommendations or walking together at a work conference is enough to accuse him of cheating. Reply, I didn't mean to accuse him of cheating, I guess that's what I couldn't explain properly. I just had a bad feeling in my gut about the whole thing and decided to voice it. I guess I should have considered it a bit more before doing that, since it seems the comments do think I overreacted. Commenter 2, and he relented saying he'd invite someone else too but it would ruin it. NTA, I really want to know what the other person is supposed to ruin if it's not a date. Commenter 3, it sounds to me like you have gotten bad vibes about their relationship prior to this and have not voiced them to him. The walk tipped you over the edge and it seemed out of the blue for him because you haven't mentioned you were uncomfortable with the situation prior. This relationship could be totally innocent, but the fact that you feel he values her opinion over yours, TV show, is concerning for a couple getting married in a few months. You guys need to have a real and calm conversation about all of this. You need to be able to explain to him that it's not him having a friend at work that bothers you, but that it feels like he is valuing her opinion over yours and that to you is building an emotional intimacy that he isn't with you. He may not even be aware of this. If he dismisses your concerns after a calm discussion, I think you have your answer. Update. I had posted earlier in the day about me getting angry with my fiancé for his one-to-one plans with his coworker. The replies made me realize I was in the wrong, so I called him and apologized for overreacting last night. He told me it was all good. I asked if he'd already asked another coworker to join them for lunch, he hadn't yet, so I told him I was okay with them making plans after work and he thanked me for it. Full disclosure, my ex was a control freak when it came to me, wanting me to put the phone on speaker whenever I'd be talking to my friends or family, wanting updates every half hour, and I hated him so much at the end of it, and promised myself I'd never be a controlling partner like that, but it's possible I picked up some wrong norms from that period. My fiancé's coworker also put up some photos on Insta of their lunch together and their trip to a lake after, and I realized they're just coworkers who have similar interests. When I posted initially it was just that in my mind he'd act out of character when it came to her, acting on show recs when he normally doesn't, replying to her texts fairly quickly when he normally takes a while, and I just thought that wasn't okay, but I also fully understand that my idea of right and wrong is a bit skewed due to my past. And I'm glad I was made to realize it before I went further down the road and became the kind of partner my ex was to me. Thanks. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, the replies to your post made you realize you were wrong. There were a lot of replies that said "NTA, did you miss those? Or were you just hell-bent on someone validated your denial? Because let me tell you, it is very inappropriate for your fiancé to be taking a romantic stroll after a date with a coworker. It's also inappropriate for him to go for a romantic walk to the lake after a lunch date. There is nothing appropriate about the boundaries they are crossing, and quit being gaslighted by the age-old argument that you're just being insecure. The majority of the time, it's intuition, not insecurity. Yes, he can be friends with a coworker but there must be boundaries. Reply, I checked all the comments on the earlier post now, and now the first comments that show up are different. Initially the comments in a PM were telling me to quit the wedding because I was insecure, and I stopped. I just had flashbacks about what I used to say back then, and I felt sick. I'm sorry, I know I sound unstable AF right now, but I'm really not. I'm just going to think about what I say when he comes back tonight. Commenter 2, you are uncomfortable, you expressed that. He should be taking that and asking what he can do to make you comfortable. He's putting her during a walk before you and your feelings. Late night walk, how late are we talking? Reply, it was 10 p.m. when I called. And the comments from the earlier post are all different now, they were different at the time, and I never want to be the insecure partner in a relationship, so I said I was okay with it. Commenter 3, I personally believe that he is playing you when it comes to her. She's posting pictures of them on their lunch together and going to the lake. No wonder he didn't want anyone having lunch with them. Why would she post pictures of them together at lunch and at a lake if they are just coworkers? She, IMO, just threw it in your face. What were her comments when she posted them? Good luck to you. Commenter 4, just because you may have overreacted to a walk doesn't mean the situation is kosher. It just means you need to have a calm conversation with your fiancé about what makes you uncomfortable and why. If he knew you were uncomfortable with lunch and grudgingly said it was fine, why would he push it by also going to the lake after? I'm married and that would bother me if my husband did that after I expressed I was uncomfortable with the relationship. Last update. In my first post, I had only read the first few comments which said I was insecure, and it just triggered me because that's the last thing I ever want to come across as, so I had stopped reading after, and apologized to my fiancé. But most people in the end encouraged me to talk to my fiancé since despite my effort to be cool about it, it did bother me. My manner of speaking had been wrong the first time, it was over the top, so when he returned from his trip last night, I had decided to talk to him about it calmly. I apologized for my tone the first time, and told him I was glad he had someone at work that he could be friendly with, and I'm glad he had a good lunch with her too. He told me it was fancy since they spent the company's allowance. But I just wanted to be honest with him, since I'd want him to be too, that it made me feel weird, like a bad stomachache. That it seemed like she was becoming more important to him than a friendly coworker should be. He said he sees her only 3 times a week for work, so how could she become important? He said that do I want him to not talk to any of his female friends? And I said no, I've never had a problem with either of his 2 close female friends, that I've met them and he knows I enjoy their company too, and would never ask him to limit time with them and he knows that. He said so if I can trust him with them, do I not trust him with someone who's just a coworker? This time I explained clearly that it's not about trust, I trust him completely, it's about comfort. It was making me uncomfortable and I recognize this is a me issue but I want him to help me out here while I come to terms with it. He said he'd do that for me even though this would mean that we were punishing his coworker for our problems, since she also isn't cool with anyone else at work, but for our sake he would. He promised to decrease no work-related contact with her, and reduce the frequency of their lunches or ask someone else to tag along until I was cool with this, however long that may take. I was grateful and thanked him, and we've put this behind us. I'm glad we were able to deal with this and I think we're stronger for it. Thanks. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, it's crazy how Reddit and your shitty boyfriend gaslight you into apologizing. Follow your gut. If something feels fishy, it probably is. You know him better than any of us, so follow your gut. Reply, my gut feeling was never that he's cheating or anything like that, it's just a feeling that she has become too important too quickly for my liking and that's what I calmly voiced and he's going to take the steps we discussed. Commenter 2, sounds like she's very important if her feelings are more important than your comfort. I'm sorry but it's weird. Go with them, tell him if she doesn't have many friends she wouldn't mind one more and go with them on walks because that's weird as shit. Reply, I thought about what you said. I'd like to meet her to check out their behavior and also just so she's met me and can see us a couple. I just think if we're together in front of her that would calm my nerves. But I've just asked him to limit contact, he agreed, and I don't want to normalize meetings with her, at least until I'm okay with all this. I think meeting her together and then asking my fiancé to not hang out would send mixed signals. Commenter 3, even though we would be punishing her for our problems, how could she be important if I only see her 3 times per week? Commenter 4, girl, he's gaslighting the fuck out of you. If he only sees her 3 times a week tops then letting her go shouldn't be a big deal. However, he's telling you this woman he sees only 3 times per week is a big deal and a big enough deal to have a midnight stroll with. Oh. Yeah, you totally blew the vibe when you kept calling him on their little stroll. At this point I'd be questioning the relationship between his other 2 female friends. He's gaslighting you about everything. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't marry this guy. Stories number 3. Aita for refusing to let my alcoholic mother move in with me, even though she's homeless now. I, 29F, bought a small house last year, nothing fancy, but it's quiet, safe, and mine. For the first time in my life, I feel like I can actually breathe. Now for context, my mom, 52F, is an alcoholic and has been for as long as I can remember. My childhood was not a childhood. I was more like her emotional punching bag, personal therapist, maid, and sometimes target when she got too drunk and angry. She used to scream at me for wasting space or ruining her life. I remember being maybe 9 or 10, dragging her off the kitchen floor after she'd passed out from drinking again, terrified she was dead. She never remembered the things she'd say or do. Or maybe she did and just didn't care. CPS was called once, by my 5th grade teacher, but my mom cleaned herself up just long enough to fool them. Then the punishments got worse when they left. I left home the minute I turned 18. No contact for years. She only reached out again recently, and I kept things surface level because I'm still working through the trauma. Therapy has helped a lot, and I've spent years trying to build a life that's calm and not ruled by chaos. Last week she called sobbing, saying she got evicted and has nowhere to go. She begged me to let her stay, just for a little while. I asked her what happened. She wouldn't give me a straight answer, but I could already hear the slurring in her voice. I told her I was sorry, but I couldn't help her. She snapped. Said I'm a cold-hearted bitch, that, after everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me. That I'm heartless for letting my own mother sleep in her car. Now a few relatives are blowing up my phone, calling me cruel and selfish, saying she's my mother and she has nowhere to go. But none of them are offering to take her in. Just me. I feel guilty. I don't want her to suffer. But I also know what it's like to live with her, and I'm scared that if I let her in, I'll never get my peace back. Stories number 4. Aita for kicking my partner out after she told me to stop seeing my daughter. My partner, 22F, and I, 24M, have been together for just under a year now. A few days ago, she asked if we could talk, and I immediately feared she wanted to break up. However, after our conversation, it was not what I expected at all. A bit of background for this is I have 2 daughters, aged 4 and 2. I became a single dad when I was 20, just a few months after my first daughter was born. Her mother left us, and I've been raising her on my own ever since. About a year or so later, I met my now ex-partner. She was very pregnant and like me, was facing the reality of being a single mom soon. Her baby daddy had left her and their daughter, leaving her with no support. We were together for almost 2 years and were a blended family, and during that time, I raised our youngest daughter as my own, loving and caring for her as such. Both of my daughters are daddy's girls, and I cherish our relationship. I've never once second-guessed my role as her father. Unfortunately, my ex-partner struggled with mental health issues, including BPD and bipolar disorder, which eventually led to infidelity. Despite our attempts at couples counseling, I realized I couldn't continue the relationship. We split amicably, but I made a promise to my youngest daughter that I would always be there for her, and I fully intend to keep that promise. She spends weekends with me and occasionally stays a few days during the week, and this has been a constant for over a year. Now, fast forward to the present. I met my current partner shortly after my breakup, around a month later. Honestly, it was supposed to be a casual fling, but we hit it off so well that we ended up spending the whole night talking, playing games, and getting to know each other. We didn't go beyond kissing, but it felt great. From the start, I was open about my situation being a single father to 2 girls, and the unique relationship with my youngest daughter. At the time, she seemed fine with it and didn't bring it up again. During our recent talk, she expressed that she's uncomfortable with the fact that I'm still involved in my daughter's life and my ex's life. She said that it's emotionally ignorant and unfair to her that I continue this relationship, and in her words, "You can't possibly love her as much as your actual daughter, she's not even yours." This really hit me hard, and I admit I didn't handle it well and it turned into shouts on both ends. I told her to leave my house. Crappy part was both my kids were in their rooms and heard the whole thing. I really hope they heard hardly anything or nothing at all. It was probably the first time they ever seen me like that. She said she went to stay with her sister, and now everyone is messaging me from her friends and family backing my partner's opinion that she isn't even mine and questioning why I care so much about her. Thankfully my family is on my side and are doing their best to support me emotionally, but it's hard as they live in another state. My mother and stepdad are planning on flying in this coming weekend to help out, which is the best news I've heard all day. Honestly, I'm really confused right now. Am I being unreasonable or unfair? I'm struggling to process my emotions and don't know what to do next. Note, I should also add that my ex and I remain decent friends and she is a great mother to our youngest daughter. However, my oldest daughter's mother is currently MIA and has been for some time and is not in the picture. My youngest daughter's mother is a great mom but works as a flight attendant for a few years now, so that is only the reason my daughter stays with me a couple days a week on some occasions, so she can pick up extra hours when she needs. This only occurs only 3 to 4 times a month if that. Mentally she is much better and is doing her best. We just didn't work out but continues to make sure that our daughter will always have me as her daddy. Also my GF now doesn't live with me, she does however stay a few nights out of the week over, and we do go out when I find the time. I haven't heard from her since the incident, which maybe is the best. When I wrote this I was definitely trying to word my best during this, and when upset words don't really form in the best way. I do not ever plan on leaving my daughter's life. What I was more looking for in answers was if I was wrong for kicking her out. Should we have talked more about it? I also don't think I hopped into a relationship too fast after my first daughter. It was over a year later and maybe more when I met my ex, and then a month later after that my new GF, which is real fast and was probably the quickest I've ever jumped into a relationship, but I really thought we had a great connection. My first daughter's mom was my high school sweetheart and we were together for years and even was each other's first, but after our daughter was born she completely changed and just decided she had to leave. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. Might I suggest, gently, that you pursue therapy and stay away from relationships for a bit? You're quite young and it's been a series of train wrecks. Focus on yourself and your daughters for a bit. Commenter 2. This. You said it more diplomatically than I would have. NTA OP, but time to focus on raising your kids and stay out of relationships until you seek therapy. This is not a pattern you want your daughters to emulate. Commenter 3. Exactly. You're doing the right thing by prioritizing your kids and their well-being. It's important to show them what healthy relationships and boundaries look like, so taking time to focus on them is key. Therapy could definitely help you process everything, especially since you've been through a lot with relationships and raising your daughters on your own. You don't want to repeat patterns that aren't healthy for you or them. NTA, and it's good you're taking the space to figure things out. Keep focusing on what's best for your girls. Update. A few words before the update. Also very long update. Thank you all for the incredible support after my post went viral. My girls and I are truly grateful. A special thanks to all the parents who stepped up for a child when it wasn't expected. Children often face the harsh realities of broken homes and crime, and they need our protection. They are innocent and didn't choose to be born into this world, so they need us more than we realize. As parents, we may feel we're not doing enough or wish we could change things, but the past is behind us, and all we can do is strive to be better. I have legal rights to both of my children. For my oldest, the courts granted me full custody after her mother abandoned her, and I don't receive child support nor want any from her. For my youngest, I have joint guardianship, which is different from adoption or full guardianship, and visitation. Her mother suggested that since she sees me as her daughter's only father. While adoption isn't possible right now due to her age and our unmarried status, we're safe on that front. The courts typically require a stronger bond before approving adoption, even if we feel differently. During my breakup with my youngest daughter's mother, she deeply regretted her mistake and tried to make amends and wanted to continue our relationship. However, I couldn't move past it, though I still love and care for her as the mother of my child and a good friend. She has since moved on but still views me as her child's only father. Despite her mistake, I know she's worked hard to better herself, and I forgave her a long time ago. To be fair, this relationship was the quickest I've ever been in, and it was only my third one in my entire life. My first relationship lasted years, starting when we were both 14, and my second came over a year later after going through tough therapy to cope with the challenges of being a single father at such a young age. Moving forward, I plan to focus on therapy, spend time at home with my kids, and work on my small cafe business here in the valley. Now for the update. Honestly, all of this really blindsided me. Looking back, she seemed perfect. She was always doing little things for me, randomly getting me gifts, and even cooking for me when she stayed over. She'd initiate intimacy every time, and I'd get these constant steamy photos from her, so it honestly seemed like she was really happy and content with everything. I thought I'd lucked out and found someone who truly understood me and made me feel valued. But, in hindsight, it's clear that people are better at hiding things than we often realize. She clearly wasn't okay with any of it, and I had no idea. It's crazy how someone can put on such a perfect front and completely seem like a different person the next day. Anyways, after my post gained some traction, that same night I sent a brief text to her saying that I am sorry for the way she feels and that we aren't right each other and that my daughter will always be my daughter no matter what, my love for my girls will always be greater than. Later last night I was just hanging out with my girls watching Moana 2 in my room. We all passed out in bed thinking it would be a peaceful night. But at 2 a.m. I was woken up by loud banging on my door, which sent a wave of panic through me. I immediately woke up and grabbed my piece and went to see what was going on. It was my now ex-girlfriend, stumbling drunk and emotional, completely out of control. She was pounding on the door, yelling and crying, and honestly, it terrified me and probably my kids as well. When I opened the door, there she was, standing there, begging to talk and wanting me to hear her out some more. To make matters worse, my oldest came to the door since she too wanted to know what was happening. I quickly told her to watch over her little sister, making sure she was okay while I dealt with the situation. My oldest went into big sister mode, which made me proud in that moment. Realizing that things were probably getting out of hand and that I couldn't get her to calm down, I knew I had to do something. I called the police and explained that my drunk ex was at my door, refusing to leave. Within less than 10 minutes, a police car pulled up, and they quickly took her into custody. The situation was over just like that, and I haven't heard from her since. The officers suggested I file a restraining order, which I already planned to do after everything that happened. Then, just a few hours ago, I got a call from an unknown number. It was a friend of hers asking if I had seen her, and it felt so good to tell her that her friend was probably in jail and that she wasn't my responsibility anymore since she wasn't even my blood. That suggestion came from a comment on my last post, and it honestly felt so empowering to finally set that boundary. Now, things are starting to calm down, and I can focus on taking care of my kids and myself. I have blocked everyone associated with her and plan on just living for now and doing what I can to be the best dad. Maybe one day I will show my girls this post in times if they ever feel alone in this world, to let them know that daddy will always have their back. To my wonderful children, I am proud of you and will always be. No matter who comes into our lives, I will always choose to be your father first and never last. I cannot wait to see what amazing things you do in this world and what amazing things you will do for others. And when my time eventually comes, know this, you will both always be my greatest achievement. I love you so much. Comments. Commenter 1. I can't tell you how much I love this. Good for you, for sticking up for your daughters, and yourself. I hope you all have a wonderful life ahead. Commenter 2. You did the right thing. My dad had a crazy GF who demanded he choose either her or that little bitch, referring to 3 to 4 years old me. I didn't even understand what was happening. Just that she was yelling and then left, and my daddy was sad about it. Looking back, it makes me love him more than I thought possible. Before my husband, I knew I could call my dad and he would be there for me. It's still true, my husband is just my first go-to now. But I know beyond any doubt I can always rely on my daddy, and I'm 35 now. You did that for your kids. And they will love you all the more for it. Good job, Dad. Stories number 5. Me, 25M, just found out my wife, 24F, of almost 4 years, racked up $12,000 of credit card and tax debt, and has been actively hiding it from me. I just uncovered, what I really hope is, everything. There were some red flags that I foolishly ignored. Here is a rough timeline. We've been together since high school, and married young, 21 to 20. It was pretty clear from the beginning, and we even had conversations specifically about it, that she would handle the money. Her parents are incredible with money, they are avid couponers, exceptional investors, and mind-bogglingly frugal. It was logical to me that she would inherit at least some of this, and since I hated everything to do with finances, it made perfect sense. More backstory, I'm the primary breadwinner. She makes less than $10K a year from a part-time job. Shortly after we were married, she got a couple of credit cards that had cash back or air mileage programs and explained to me that as long as we kept them paid off, they'd basically be giving us free money. A year before we were married, I started working as a freelance contractor. This meant I had to pay estimated taxes every quarter. Last year, tax year 2013, she offered to take over my taxes and I happily agreed. Again, hate finances. I just told her every quarter, I made $X, so send the IRS $Y. For time she told me she would. This last tax season I found out she lied every single time. We got a massive bill, thousands of it were from the late fees alone. I only found out because I had to help, and sign, for the taxes. This basically wiped our nest egg, and left us owing $5,000 that we had to put on a payment plan with the IRS. She apologized and cried a lot, and said she just misunderstood the estimated taxes and this kind of thing would never ever happen again. I shrugged it off. People make mistakes. There is about $4,200 left to pay the IRS. Jump forward to this June, we moved into a new place. The city requires a credit check to turn on the water, sewage, etc. I go to the office to sign and finalize it, and to my surprise they require a rather large deposit. I ask about it, and they said it was due to the credit check. I looked over the credit report and it had a column that was, these items negatively affect your score. Most of them were fine, like, credit history to short, but one line really stood out to me, average balance on all accounts above 30%. When we first got the credit cards our limit was $2,000, so I was though, okay, $600 in credit debt isn't a big deal. I told my wife about the credit check and the large deposit and she said something like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of let it slip this last month, it'll be fine next month. What I didn't know at the time was that our credit limit had increased to $5,000, and that we were far past the 30% mark. Just over a month ago I come home and sit down at the computer, which we both use. My wife comes over and sits next to me and starts telling me about her day. I close the browser window which had been open and behind it is a PDF statement for one of the credit cards. My wife screams, close that, and grabs the mouse and closes it, but before she does I see at the top a massive, current balance $4,900, it wasn't exactly $4,900, there was some change. She turns bright red and looks at me with a look of, did you just see that? I say something like, $4,900, and she breaks down and starts crying. She explains that it just got out of hand and she lost control and it's been snowballing and she didn't want to tell me about it because it'd stress me out and it was all her fault. Then she says something that still pisses me off to think about. It all started when you stopped working from home and got a job. I didn't realize you were going to make a lot less money. This pisses me off because I got a 20% raise when I stopped freelancing. It just seemed like less money because of tax withholding, and I was contributing to an 401k, and our health insurance got 10x better. So there was less cash in the bank every week, but I was making more money. Anyway, we have a long talk and decide the money needs to be transparent. We set up you need a budget and she went through and added everything in. We decide that every single week we'll go through our weekly expenses, and neither of us will spend any money without telling the other. We plan everything out and figure out that we can pay off the credit card by the end of the year if we eat super cheap, and never go out. At some point during this day-long talk and planning session I notice she has left out the other credit card from Inab. I ask her about it directly, like I looked her dead in the eye and said, what about the Amex? She looked at me, and with a straight face said, it's at like $400 to $600, I barely ever put anything on it because it doesn't have cash back. I'll pay it off this month then just close it. For some stupid fucking reason I believed her. Now skip forward to this morning. I decided to check on everything because we had some minor, but unexpected, expenses this week and I wanted to see how it'd affect our long-term payoff plan. I logged into the Amex account and see that it has a balance of $3,534.39. Not only that, but I logged into the other credit card to find that it's $1,000 higher than what she is reporting in in-app. She recorded two $500 payments in in-app that she never actually paid. I'm looking through the statements and where I have been living on basically chicken breasts and vegetables, she has been eating out multiple times a week while I was at work. There are countless expenses that I can't account for and that go way beyond the budget we planned. Our plan to have, what I now know is only half, our debt paid off by the end of the year is completely botched already, just a month in. I feel sick. I don't think I'll ever be able to trust her again. My stomach churns every time I think about her face when she told me the Amex only had a balance of $400. I'm seriously considering a divorce. Would a divorce be an overreaction? Is this something I should be able to forgive? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. TLDR, my wife lied to me about our taxes, and put us $5,000 in debt with the IRS. Then lied about our credit cards and hid the fact that we were thousands of dollars in debt. Then lied to my face when confronted about it. Then repeatedly cheated on our mutually agreed upon budget plan to pay it off. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I think you should consider counseling before jumping to divorce. Sometimes there is a lot of shame surrounding financial troubles. Also, don't let your wife be in charge of the finances anymore. I would give her one card, the both of you have an allowance, and be meticulous about your finances. This is obviously something she can't handle. She got into trouble and felt too ashamed to come to you for help. Why doesn't she work more? Do you two have kids? Reply. No kids, she has been off and on pursuing a degree. She dropped out last semester, then started again this semester taking 8 credit hours. So the primary reason she doesn't work more is because she wants to finish school. We're. Or I guess I am, paying for her school out of pocket. Commenter 2. I can hear the anger through your post. I think you should do what you can to diminish that before you talk to her about this again. I look at my finances about once a week. I figure out where our money is going and why. We have a spreadsheet that shows expected savings versus expected expenses. My husband called me while I was at work last week because he noticed I spent $5 on a protein shake, looking at credit card statement online. It shows up instantly. He asked me if I lost my shaker and if he needed to prepare my shake for me so I don't forget. We are both on top of our finances and contributing to our financial goals. Never leave this in her hands again. You both need to know what is going on with your money, so there's the deceit you need to deal with in addition to her not pulling her weight. Why did she drop out? What is she contributing? Does she feel a responsibility financially to you? Reply. She dropped out after she got a failing grade on one of her tests. She decided to switch to an easier major, but has since switched back to the harder major. I'm honestly not sure what she is contributing anymore. I do all the cooking, and half the cleaning. She goes to work and school. My original thought was that as soon as she finishes her degree she'll make up for as her degree has a very high starting salary. I'm not sure I follow your last question. I know she is very self-conscious about her contribution to the relationship, and gets very defensive anytime a conversation enters the same hemisphere as contribution. Update. First, a big thank you to everyone who gave me their thoughts and advice. I read everyone's messages, even if I didn't reply. It's been a month since I found the second half of the debt. Here is what has happened since. We're still together. I've taken complete control of the finances, but she still can see it all, and we're discussing finances on a regular basis. I set up Mint, big thanks to those who recommended. It's been a huge help, though the net worth column makes me a little sick every time I see it. I have not set up a separate bank account, as some people recommended. She freely gave up all her credit cards, and I hid them. I figured cutting them up could potentially cause problems if I needed to cancel subscriptions or something. My logic may be flawed, but since hiding them exactly $0 has been spent on them, so I believe it's a safe method for now. She has a debit card she is supposed to only use for gas and groceries that are on our agreed upon list. We're now about $800 less debt, which feels like a drop in the bucket, but at least it's a drop in the bucket in the correct direction. We've managed to almost follow the budget I planned out. Unfortunately, our relationship has suffered in a big way. I have to check the transactions on her card every day, and at least twice a week there are things on there she shouldn't have bought. When I confront her about them she always has an excuse ready. I withdrew $20 to buy Girl Scout cookies from a client's daughter, but since I can't have the cookies, gluten allergy, I told them to just take the $20. I can't bring myself to believe her excuses. I know she is lying, at least some of the time, as in there will be a Starbucks cup left in the car. I don't really want to start a fight over $20, and I can't tell the difference between when she is lying and when she isn't. Until a month ago I thought she never lied. I should take a moment to say, I like strong women. I fell in love with this girl when I was 18 and she was 17, because she was the most mature independent girl my age I had ever met, among other qualities. She had a good job, for 17, she was moving out of her parents' house, she had a car. In short, for her age, I thought she really had her shit together. I have never wanted the nuclear stay-at-home wife, I wanted a career wife. You know Claire Underwood from House of Cards? That's the kind of woman I wanted, and who I thought I had found. While we were dating she was all about career advancement, long-term plans, traveling the world, etc. I'm concerned I had rose-colored glasses on, and because I wanted her to be a strong independent woman, I ignored her faults, and she went out of her way to act like the strong woman she knew I wanted her to be. Whenever I find her spending money on things she shouldn't, I either have to let it go, bad, I assume, or I have to ground a grown-ass woman from her debit card. Which I really hate to do. I hate the idea of my wife being a subordinate, or like I have to punish or police her activity. It makes me feel like an asshole. Not to mention it's a complete turn-off that has decimated our intimacy. It's incredibly difficult for me to want to have sex with someone I just had to scold because they broke a budget we both agreed on. Despite telling me she is sorry and she feels terrible, I feel like I'm fighting alone. It's like instead of being my partner, and finding ways to help, I have to actively prevent her from doing further harm. A good example is that she has never looked for scholarships for school. I doubt she could get a free ride or anything, but she hasn't even looked because I've always been able to just pay it off immediately. I get that hunting down and applying for scholarships takes a lot of time and effort, and I have no idea if she'd get any. But she could at least look. I have brought it up and she just brushes it off as, I'll look, but I won't qualify for any so it'll be a waste of time, and then she doesn't look. Another example, a number of people recommend marriage counseling for us and/or therapy for her. I asked her to find a therapist, and then if the therapist thought, after talking with her, that we should do couple counseling, I'd be happy to. I reminded her to find a therapist every day for the first week, and a month later she still hasn't. I don't mind reminding her, but at this point it's pretty clear she is deliberately avoiding it. Every day I'm reminded of our debt, which upsets me, but then I get upset at myself for being upset. For example, I'll turn down going out with friends because it costs money. Then I'll think, damn it, if my wife didn't put me in debt I could go out with friends, and then 5 minutes late I'll think, wow, did I really get mad at my wife because I can't go out with friends? There are people who can't afford food and I'm upset that I can't afford a cocktail, I'm an asshole. So I get trapped in a circle of resenting my wife, and then resenting myself for resenting my wife. I would like to avoid giving the impression that I believe myself blameless in all of this. I appreciate those who pointed it out. I shouldn't have ignored my own finances for so long. I shouldn't have dumped that responsibility on anyone. I let myself get caught up in the fantasy that I was married to a perfect, strong, independent person who could do anything. If I were to pursue a separation or a divorce I wouldn't try to escape the debt, or at least half the debt. If I wasn't supporting her or paying for her school out of pocket I could pay it all off in a few months. We're still together, but I haven't forgiven her and I am harboring a lot of resentment. I am so afraid of doing something I'll regret, that I'm caught in limbo. I won't forgive her but I won't leave her, which isn't fair to her or myself, but I am too afraid to do either. It's not the money, money will come and go. It's the continued lying and the lack of effort to make it right that I am having trouble forgiving. On the other hand, divorce really doesn't sound very fun. I am afraid I can never forgive her, but I'm afraid I'd never forgive myself if I left her. TLDR, money is under control and moving in the right direction. Her apologies seem genuine at the time, but she isn't putting any effort in making it right, or doing the things I asked her to do to make it right. I feel like I am supporting a child. I am having serious trouble forgiving her and I am harboring a lot of resentment, but I am afraid to leave her. Your advice and perspective is greatly appreciated, thank you. Relevant comments. Commenter, I think you should tell her it's time for her to get a full-time job. Her entire paycheck can go to the debt. I don't care if it's at McDonald's. She needs a job. Reply, the problem with this is that I've already paid for her semester of school. She has a part-time job, and I really don't want to just throw away the tuition money I've already spent. After the semester is over, however, it's definitely an option. Final update. I don't know how else to put this. We're still together, we're still in love, and as of today we're debt-free. We finally set aside our pride and went to counseling. A big thank you for the Redditors who pushed me to, which was a huge help. She stayed in school, at my insistence, but started working her ass off. She took more hours at work and took any odd job she could, babysitting, dog sitting, house sitting, face sitting, kidding. She gave up a huge chunk of her nights and weekends and massively reined in her impulse purchases. Her grades did suffer quite a bit, but now she'll be able to cut way back on work and focus much more on school. It's been 10 months but I feel like we've matured 10 years, wow that sounds uppity as fuck, who cares, I'm excited. We're much better at communicating and money management. We've learned how to go on cheap dates, and we're both better cooks. We drink and eat out a lot less, so we're both healthier. I don't think this could have turned out better. TLDR, they got their shit together and lived happily ever after. We're better prepared for life because of it. Stories number 6. Aita for not acknowledging my step-grandchildren when their mothers, my stepdaughters made it clear I was no family of theirs. I need to know if I'm being heartless or if I'm justified. Sorry for the long post. I have 52 am married to my husband, let's call him Mark M 57, fake name. I have 3 children with my husband, and 3 stepchildren from my husband's previous marriage. My husband's previous wife died in childbirth leaving him with 2 daughters, Eva now 38 and Lisa 36, as well as my stepson Michael 27, all fake names for privacy. Michael is my son through and through, but my stepdaughters never acknowledged me in any capacity. On a good day I was simply the woman married to their dad, on a normal day I don't exist, and on bad days I was the pick-me girl who tried but failed to replace their mom. They went low contact with my husband when they left for their respective colleges and no contact with me, a behavior that was encouraged and I'd say heavily influenced by their maternal grandparents. They came back into my husband's life when Lisa was getting married, with demands that he pay for her wedding in-house. Something he agreed to and later did for Eva as well. I felt like they were just using my husband, but I didn't say anything about that as I saw how happy he was to have them back. Especially after being devastated when they ignored him for so long. They didn't invite me to their weddings, and made it clear when they had kids that I was not their family. My husband and son tried to push back against this, but I discouraged this as I didn't have much of an emotional connection with them. I chose to let it go and not make a big deal about it. They rejected me enough as teens and I said nothing because I didn't want it to come across as if I'm forcing myself on them. But I definitely don't need to stomach that behavior from them as adults. We continued on like this for a couple of years, but things changed when Michael and my other son Tyler got married and had their kids. My daughters-in-law involved me with everything in their lives, including their children's births. As a result I'm very close to them and their kids. I only see Lisa and Eva's children at family gatherings and have no relationship or emotional connection to them whatsoever. Lisa and Eva have recently started a campaign against me to extended family members, about my extreme favoritism towards my grandkids and lack of effort towards their kids. Honestly I'm not bothered and they aren't lying, my grandkids from my 2 sons are highly favored by me. They can never confront me as we almost never talk beyond hellos, how are yous, and byes. But they've also tried to involve my sons and their wives in this mess. Michael and his wife were there when the wedding fiasco went down, so they aren't buying into this nonsense. Tyler is unbothered as their treatment of me, also extended to him and my other 2 children. His wife is loyal to me, but feels very sorry for the children involved. My husband has made it clear that he will not force me to do anything I don't want to do, the same way he didn't force them to involve or include me in their lives or that of their kids. Extended family members are very vocal about their disapproval of my behavior. But I don't treat those kids bad, I'm hardly ever around them, when I am, I'm very polite towards them. I don't initiate hugs, as I do want to overstep, but I return when they are given. I buy gifts for them at Christmas just like I do with every other child. When together, I include them in any activities I do with my other grandkids as I don't want them to feel left out. I treat them all equally during those moments. I just don't go out of my way to involve myself in their day-to-day lives like I do with my other grandkids. And honestly I'm totally unbothered by Lisa and Eva's campaign against me. I feel like they made it a point to rejected me and also rejected me on behalf of their kids, and that's why I'm not close to them. I honestly don't feel like putting in the effort at this point, I'm human and I've been rejected enough. I don't want to let them or their kids in. And I feel like they only want in, because they see the benefits my other grandkids get to enjoy. I think they want to manipulate the situation and use me for their benefit just like they use their father. I think their children are also just tools in this situation and unfortunately I'm not in a position to do anything for them as that would mean allowing their mothers to have access to me, and I'm not comfortable with that. Am I wrong for keeping the distance and not really wanting to acknowledge them as my grandkids? Stories number 7. Aita for planning on ending our relationship today because he acts like his daughter is heiress to my things. My F37 boyfriend, Ben M42, has been asking weird questions and expecting me to do things that would go against my plans for my own family. Things have been working out for me in the past few years, but this year has been amazing. I decided to cut down on my daily workload a bit after I got 3 accounts that are helping me reach some financial goals. I'm planning on buying a house for my family. I downsized my current living situation, renting, after my kids went to live, temporarily, with my parents for this semester while I completed my certified training and graduated from my present program in uni. My new place isn't as nice looking as other places, but the price was a good cut from living expenses for me. I can both walk to the office and uni, and I hardly have to move my car for anything. I'm saving money that I'm putting in an account for my kids. Ben absolutely hates my place. It's clean and in a relatively safe area, it's just that it's a mix of student area, old families, and traffic can get messy from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and some houses are simple and elegant and some look like tacky add-ons. I don't care if my place doesn't look nice on the outside. It's not like it's an eyesore, and it's up to me to make it livable on the inside. I had two other choices. Choice A cost $200 less than my previous place, with access to a community pool and 2 bedrooms. I don't need more than 1 bedroom at the moment and I don't really have time to enjoy the pool. Choice B was a bit lower, but about 45 minutes away. It was beautiful and close to the school where Ben's kid went. He did hint at it, but he would have needed to get on the lease and come up with the difference between this place and my new studio apartment that I chose. Also, living together is a major decision, and right now, I really need to focus on my career and education. He said he understood, but he didn't take it well. He told me that his daughter was disappointed because she would have liked a nice place to hang out. Ben lives in an apartment. It's an average place with no problems or issues, so what he said came out as a weird remark. Fast forward, and he started asking questions. First, he asked if I would be interested in partnering with him for a business idea. I said no because I already made a commitment to self-fund my own venture. Second, I'm not familiar with the industry that he wanted to break into. Then, he began noticing things about things that I owned. I'm not hiding that I'm financially stable, but I don't spend a lot. He did notice that I've bought a few nice items and started telling jokes that felt harmless. Then he said that I was loaded and that his daughter would be an awesome protege. I stayed quiet, TBH, because I think he might have been offended, but there's no way in hell that I would allow entrance to what I've built to anyone other than my kids. Also, he said that I should treat his daughter as very special because I only had boys, and she's my chance to have a girl in the family, his words. Don't get me wrong, she's a good kid. I have never missed out on gifting her nice and thoughtful presents on her birthdays and the holidays, but his words created a sense of discomfort and disgust for me. It felt like reversed sexism, and I told him, she and I have a decent relationship, but there's no way that I will give her access to my money if that means to treat her as my own. I know this sounds very wrong, but it's how I feel. She's not the kind of kid who's a bully or nasty or anything, but she's not my child, and every time that he asks for things, I feel like he's trying to get me to take from my kids to give to her. It happened again when I gave her a short-term weekend job. The office cleaning lady wasn't available, so I hired his daughter for a Saturday cleaning. She did a good job, I paid her, and took her to the mall to get her some makeup that she wanted, and she came back next weekend. When he picked her up, he started joking that she would start from the bottom and rise to be top executive like any other kid at their family business. I didn't say anything because she was there, but I did approach him later on and mention it to him. I tried to be gentle, but it was important for us to at least discuss expectations. His initial reaction wasn't what I expected. To be fair, I think he got nervous or embarrassed, but I didn't like his reaction. So he said something about me potentially putting her in my will. I'd like to clarify that he laughed, so I think it was a joke, but I also think that he wouldn't have clarified if I'd gone along. I simply stayed quiet and told him that I cared about his daughter, but it isn't fair to create any expectations. I've worked so hard to give my kids a better future, and it's taken me over 10 years, and the fact that he only sees the results without taking my past and my ordeal into consideration feels disrespectful. I also mentioned how he wanted me to change my budget and plans for a different property while he knew that moving together isn't an option, and that he stayed silent when I mentioned he would have needed to pay the difference on the lease. Also, I mentioned that I would not make unnecessary sacrifices. Nothing else was said. He stormed out of my car and, this is why I feel like the asshole here, started walking with his hand in his pocket and a weak smirk. I had to drive slowly next to him to convince him to get back inside the car because I hate Dr. David Banner scenes. He looked like a kicked puppy. After I dropped him off, he has been sending me texts about being disconnected from what a blended family actually is, showing that I think his daughter is inferior, being a hypocrite, and bullying. This has disturbed my inner peace because I'm just defending whatever legacy I have built, and having to do it against my partner just doesn't feel right. We talked about it, and he apologized, and I did the same in case I was too harsh. He said we could find some middle ground, and I was open to it. When he talked about helping him create a business for his daughter, I began to get angry because, again, it would be sweat equity for me. I declined because I did all the sweating I had to, but it was for me, and what he's asking just isn't fair. It's a responsibility, and I truly like to do things appropriately. I don't want to say yes and do it half-ass, and I don't want to work for free. I also don't want to mix anything between business and pleasure because it's my network, and my contacts, and again, it could go very nice and well or it could be a shit show, and I don't want that. I'm also concerned that he will ramp up and keep asking and asking for things. He said that if I don't help, he will feel like we will never build anything together. I said he needed to hire a consultant, but he stayed quiet, so I told him that he shouldn't place the responsibility of his present situation on me. He said that I'm probably blinded by my success, but that one day, I'll wake up single and lonely. I asked if he was threatening to leave me, and he said I'm not acting like a helpful partner. I asked for a break, and he freaked out. I'm just trying to keep my mental health in check because his constant asking and jokes have made me anxious. Also, I'm very angry and thinking that he just wants a handout. I texted him this morning asking to talk. I want to break up. He said he hopes I'm not planning on dumping him because it would mean that I just tricked him into a break. He posted something about his own mental health today. Aita for deciding to end things. We haven't talked yet, but that's my intention. I don't see his kid as inferior at all. I just want to keep my money out of it. Edit, to the judgmental people calling me names for letting my kids live with my parents for this semester only, please enlighten me. Would it be a great option to reject a good opportunity and finish my education to gain your approval? Right, because not doing my best to give them a good financial start in life is a better option. Also, where did you get that I'm an absent mother? Did I say that I don't see them or spend time with them? To those who offer advice, thank you. To those who disagree but diff jump to, mothers should not do what they can to secure their kids' financial future and stay poor but at home, thanks. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA, you are not married, you are not engaged, you are not living together, but he thinks it is time for you to add his daughter to your will. He is taking advantage of you. Commenter 2. Also, OP, just trust your gut. He is giving you an ick vibe you should listen to. People here will have a million different judgments to pass on you, but the bottom line is that he does not seem to respect the work you have put in and the plan for your family. You don't say how long you have been together, but based on your post it isn't long enough for you to want to blend lives and family. That's fair. And BTW, choosing to take a break then deciding to make it official is not tricking. You are allowed to change your mind any damn time you want. To not be manipulated. NTA. Commenter 3. NTA. I'm not saying he's a gold digger, but if the shoe fits. Commenter 4. I'm ready to be kinder but not by much. Even if he just wants a blended family and starting something together, he's kinda expecting husband treatment before even talking about marriage. And he's also expecting the kind of husband treatment and blended family that'll make her sons pop up here at some point talking about the moron their mom is dating, demanding respect as head of the household. Listen, I'm sure there's a woman out there who'll love his version of relationship and blended family, but OP isn't it? She's smart enough to realize that women often get taken for a ride when it comes to relationships, and she's doing good in making sure she's an equal participant for a partner too, so she's in no way unreasonable. They're just not compatible, EOD. Ripping the band-aid off is the way to go here. Update. We formally broke up today, and he made it very difficult to focus on our conversation. He interrupted me every 5 seconds and was in denial for almost half of it. I asked to meet at a small restaurant, public place strategy, to avoid any type of drama. I tried to be respectful but definitely wanted to bring up my uneasiness and feelings about his behavior. He tried to brush it off at first, but when I insisted, he evaded the subject. I told him what he already knows: my children are my priority as a sole provider, and I want to ensure that they have their needs covered. There were some comments on my other post that I had thought about but hadn't verbalized. Like, what would he inherit my kids, or what's his plan for his own kid? I know he doesn't have much, but that's no excuse. When I established the comparison between what he wanted for his kid versus what he would give to mine, his face changed, like I was greedy and he was insulted. He said my kids don't have a dad and that he can provide a paternal figure. This triggered me so much that I had to try and keep my volume in check. My thought is that being there like a piece of furniture in exchange for financial benefits for his own kid is acceptable to him. I would have loved for my kids to have a decent dad, but that's just not in the cards, and right now, I'm better off alone than with Ben. I was so angry that he kept asking me to calm down. He said he's leaving his daughter good knowledge on life in general because there are things that only he can offer since her mom is too secular, whatever that means, and I didn't ask him. I said that we needed to break up, and he immediately got upset and left our table. I thought he was gone, but he came back later and claimed he only went to use the restroom. I told him that I can't share any part of my life with him after he behaved like a gold digger, and that even if I was able to get past this, I would never even consider getting back together because his intentions are entitled and dishonest. All in all, I'm just glad that we weren't alone. He has high blood pressure issues, real, I've seen the medication, and sometimes, I've suspected some types of mental health issues, going from 0 to 100 for things that seemed incongruent. He said he was truly sorry if he offended me and said that he felt tricked and betrayed. That breaks are meant for introspection and to seek improvement and not to abandon a relationship. That my actions will have an impact on his daughter because she really likes me. I offered to have a last call text with her if he agreed, but his answer was, no, fuck you, you don't get to say anything to her. He said that I'm caught up in my new, mainstream life, whatever that means. It's fucking offensive considering that I've worked for my financial stability after a few years of things not being great. He told me to go suck on my colleagues' dicks but immediately apologized. I told him I'm not surprised at his behavior, since it shows me that he seems to think sex can solve anything. I also said that since he was being gross and vulgar, I'm learning just now that men like him are unfuckable, homosexual, handout seekers, and insincere. And that I will never date someone who is not financially stable, ever again, because this is a huge lesson. I wish that I could say that I had left him sitting alone at the table, but he left first. When I was about to get my handbag to pay for my food, he rushed to get his backpack and walked off really quick. I blocked him everywhere, but I already changed my locks. He never had a key nor did he stay over, but I'm just being cautious. He called one of our friends in common to vent about me, and she ended up angry with him because he was very insistent that I had mistreated him, and she told him that she needed to hear my side of the story. She and I had a long conversation and she told me that she can't blame me, because our group of friends had been noticing the imbalance in our relationship and how he seemed comfortable including himself in conversations about business and success when in the 16 years that she's known him, he's never gotten anything done. So that's my update. I also blocked him on social media and messaging apps. Comments. Commenter 1. Tie for the update. Secular usually means not religious. I'm guessing that based on the rest of the picture you've painted of this man, that his ex doesn't respect his patriarchal rights to tell her own business and manage her own finances. He sounds like a manipulative partner at best. I don't think you would have ever wanted him as a father figure to your sons. Reply. Thanks for the clarification. Commenter 2. OP's ex really seemed to think he was entitled to her life, her money, and her kids' future like it was part of some twisted inheritance plan. And secular being code for not under my control. Please. That man wasn't looking for a partner, he was out here shopping for a sponsor with a side of authority. Good riddance. OP didn't just dodge a bullet, she dodged an entire financial and emotional demolition team. Commenter 3. It's wild how some people think relationships equal entitlement to someone else's life. OP deserves someone who genuinely respects her and her kids, not a gold digger with delusions of superiority. Commenter 4. Yeah, I was pretty sure that was his real opinion about your success, the fact that you had probably become successful by sucking your colleagues' dicks. The way he was diminishing, trivializing and trying to make your achievements pass for his. It is also probably what he thinks about his ex when he calls her secular. She probably is as independent and proud of her achievements as you are. And he can stand the idea that a woman is doing better than him. How ironic that he wanted his own daughter to profit from your success. He probably thinks it's the only way the woman can climb the ladder. Be careful who you frequent from now, because there are a lot of people, not only men, who will try to take advantage from you the same way. Reply. True. I've had people try to take advantage business-wise, like weaseling into business deals or piggybacking. Her mom is successful. She is manager at her job, and he claims that she used him and that she used everything she learned from him to get ahead. Stories number 8. I found out my husband's present for my birthday and hate it. Ada, I know I'll sound ungrateful, but I need an advice. I'll turn 45 in a few weeks and I casually found out what my husband is going to give me as a present. Flashback, when we started dating, he had a 2-seats BMW he loved. He had one major accident with it, spent a month in hospital, had it repaired, then it was stolen 3 times. It caused a lot of fights and pain between us, and also a huge loss of money. I hated it. When our first daughter was born, he agreed there was no use in a 2-seats car and sold it. The guy who took it only paid half of it, the other half was never paid for, hence lawsuit, lawyers, another loss of money, more hate. But that was almost 20 years ago. Now I found out that he's found the very same BMW and bought it as a present for me. He knows how I feel about this car. It brought a lot of negativeness in our lives, we don't need it and I don't want to drive it. It's basically for himself. How am I supposed to react when he'll give it to me? Falsely cheerful. I know this car, having it again, makes him happy, but it definitely makes me unhappy. I don't want to disappoint him, but he did disappoint me. I can't help but feeling in AH. Stories number 9. If fumbling was a sport, I would be Usain Bolt. Not my first fumble, won't be my last. I, 24M, met a girl, 24F, during Diwali when I visited my cousin's house. She was from the same neighborhood and was a good friend of my cousin's. She was shy, introverted, and I found her very attractive. For first few hours we didn't talk to each other directly, but then we slowly began to talk and we had a lot of common interests and shared same sense of humor. Honestly, I don't think I have clicked this good with anyone before during our first meet. She also mentioned that she was looking to settle down soon and I had also told her that I am also looking for serious relationship. By the end of the day, I was going to leave. She said, the next time you visit, please make sure to come by my home, and I said, the next time you visit my hometown, you should drop by, we share the same hometown. My dumbass forgot to ask her number. I thought I would meet her soon anyways since I frequently visit my cousins. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. I called my mom and she asked how was my Diwali etc. and I told her in detail, mentioned that this girl was there as well. My mom took a sudden interest and asked me, is she pretty? What's her height? Was she well behaved? For a moment, I actually thought that me and my mom were on the same page for the first time and said she was nice, beautiful etc. Then she said, your aunt had mentioned about this girl. Her parents are looking to marry her. My friend's son is also looking to marry. So I wanted to get your opinion on her and see if they would be a match. I had no words, I just felt like a jackass for sharing my feelings with my mom. Fast forward to this week, they are already in talks. I will definitely get invited to their wedding. Had my chance, could have taken that step, she might have rejected me, but I definitely felt there was some spark, I fumbled it. Now I regret it. Comments. Comment 1, bro, it's been 3 hours since you posted and it's been just a few days since you last met her. Bro, tell your mom and ask your cousin for her number. Talk it out, you still have time. They haven't fixed the marriage. Just do it. You're not gonna lose anything here, just do it. You're the author of your own life. Comment 2, it's not too late if they are still in the talks, just tell your mom that you liked her. Don't be shy and throw your hat in the ring, so to speak, or you will be forever left wondering, what if? The most terrible thing about regret is that it never really goes away. This way, you will at least know for sure that you did all you could. Update, if fumbling was a sport, I would be Usain Bolt. Yesterday, I was on a rant and some of you helped me realize that it was not too late. I took your advice and asked her out. We met at a park today around 5 p.m. I was very nervous and when I saw her I literally went blank. Somehow, I managed to speak some words and told her that she looked really pretty and she thanked me. She asked me if I was serious and looking to marry. I told her that I am serious but I don't want to marry ASAP, I wanted to wait for at least 2 more years as we are too young, both 24, well almost 25. She said she wants to get married by end of next year and if I am serious about her, she would stop looking for any more rights. I again insisted that I am serious and if we found ourselves compatible over next few months, then we could get engaged. She said she wants to marry by 25 and have children within a year or so. She wants to have children early so that later years would be freed up. This was a big turning point for me. As much as I liked her, I could not imagine kids in my life in next 5 years. I told her that I want kids as well but at least not until I am 30, at worst 28. I told her that I want to enjoy my time together with my partner for at least few years until we have kids in the picture. She said she understands that but can't agree to wait for 5 more years. She said that she agreed to meet me because she thought we hit it off well during our first meet and it wouldn't take much to convince her parents as we belong to same hometown, community, financially stable, working in same field. She said that I looked handsome as well and we would look great together. I legit blushed at this part. However, she said she can't wait for uncertain time and looking to settle down ASAP. At this point I just felt that it wouldn't be fair to hold her back and make her wait for an unseen future because I am not even certain at this point that I want to keep working in the same field. I barely have started my career and I am already hating my job. I don't know if I am going to do MBA, or masters in foreign universities or just join my friends in a startup. I don't know if I want to settle down in Bangalore or other cities or other countries, as in unsure whether to buy a flat, car by next year. She was looking to buy a flat as in joint investment. I told her all of that and she said that she understands all of that and I was probably one of the most genuine persons that she has ever met. If I didn't have the courage to jump into this boat with both feet, then I shouldn't do it. It looked like I want to date not marry soon, which was true and I told her that. I thanked her for meeting me, we ate pani puri and we both parted ways. I don't feel any sadness that I was feeling yesterday. Because, now I know that while I was saying that I want to get serious, married, I really don't want to do all that ASAP. I am only 24, I don't have to take these decisions urgently and hop onto this train just because others are doing it. It's just a damn shame that I met her now instead of 2 to 3 years down the line. Comments. Comment 1. My man, I just wanted to let you know what you did takes courage, and to put yourself out there, talk to someone and express what you need in life is not an easy thing to do. You must be feeling good now. Give it a few days, you'll feel great and will be proud of yourself for walking away after trying and taking this decision of not going ahead with her. Take some time off to think about your future and give it some time. You'll figure things out soon. I'm sure you'll do great, buddy. Wish you all the best. Comment 2. OP, glad that you took the decision to ask her out. Now you know, right person at the wrong time is still the wrong person. If you hadn't done this, you'd have spent your years remembering her and suffering in your mind. Now you can be free since both of you have differing worldviews that didn't align. You're both very mature for your age. Good decision overall. Best of luck, my friend, smiley face. Comment 3, great job, man. Now you won't have any regrets and are clear about your needs. Stories number 10. My husband and I lost our business. I didn't think I would be making this post. I really thought it was going to be something different. But we are not that lucky. And so my husband and I had to make the decision to close our doors. All the rework we thought we were going to get from clients in California from the wildfires didn't happen. We had 2 clients in Germany and Austria who pulled out because while they said it wasn't anything we did wrong, they didn't want to do business with any American companies if possible. That it was nothing personal. Just business. The new tariffs, our taxes are killing us when it comes to our materials. All the work we had has since been done and nothing coming in. Even the repair shop hasn't had anything and the showroom is at an all-time low. We are going to sell what we have and then it's done. We have enough to offer an 8-week severance package to our employees. My husband told our employees today that their last day will be Friday and their severance package will be available then and will start then. Their package will be 8 weeks pay. Any and all vacation time they are owed and 8 weeks for their medical, dental and vision coverages. My husband was offered his old job back at his old company and I'm going to hopefully go back to school for my nursing degree and get hired at the hospital as a unit secretary. So we will be okay. Not really happy. But still at least we have jobs and income. We are hoping that we will be able to sell the building. Our biggest worry was our laser. I'm really happy we made the decision to lease it rather than buy it so we can just return in. The company was amazing about it, saying they are getting a lot of that right now. It's really depressing. All the hard work we did in preparing, research and everything else. We were making money. We were having a great time. Stories number 11. I, 27M, overheard my sister, 25F, confess her love for my fiancé, 30M. How do I confront her? Using a throwaway since I don't want to attach this to my main, since some friends follow it too. Anyways, so I'll get into it. My friends recently hosted a little party get-together for my sister since she had been gone for a while in Florida with her boyfriend, but was coming back up north after they broke up. It had a few of our mutual friends, along with some of her old high school buddies and some cousins. My fiancé and I had gotten there a bit late, but we were excited to join the celebration, and I was mostly happy to see my sister again since she had been pretty distanced and rarely texted or called. Nothing really happened other than some shots being poured and food being ordered, until it was getting late and people started getting really drunk. Since wedding planning has been exhausting, my fiancé and I were going to leave early. To sum up a really quick moment, I had been walking to the bathroom and past the bedroom, where I heard my sister crying into someone's arms. Originally, I was gonna go see if I could help or comfort her, but then I heard my fiancé's name and paused. I definitely think I was a jerk for listening in, but I was curious and a bit drunk myself, but, from what I gathered, she was sobbing about how seeing my fiancé made it all real again and that she didn't want to deny her feelings anymore, especially now that he's getting married to me. What really stuck out to me was when she said that she just wanted him to notice her too. I left pretty quickly after that, and haven't told anyone about what I heard. Maybe I never saw the signs, but she was always so polite and friendly with my fiancé. She knew him before anyone else, since we were high school sweethearts and I came out to her first when I was struggling with my identity. It's just such a strange thing to hear this from her, but part of me wants to just blame it on drunk brain. She's never said anything like this before, and even greeted him when we got to the party and they connected on a mutual interest for a bit, and she was so warm to me too. I want to confront her to see if she meant it, but I'm also just so terrified of the results of it all. My family has stayed drama-free and I'd hate to ruin everything now that my sister just got back from being away. I really need advice on how to proceed, and how to ask her about it without causing a scene. The party was a week ago and I just feel sick whenever she messages me or calls to ask about wedding stuff or just general chatting, so I know that I need to do something. Has anyone been in a situation like this before? TLDR, My sister confessed she couldn't deny her feelings about my fiancé and I don't know how to proceed. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Does she have a history with your fiancé? I'd be asking questions and talking to your fiancé. Then I'd talk to your sister and parents. She should not be coming to the wedding. She was openly saying she'd want to cheat with your fiancé. That's foul. I'm sorry OP. Reply. Not that I know of, honestly. They had a few classes together in high school and he was invited to a lot of family gatherings since we were so close, though they never hung out past that, to my knowledge. She had left for Florida about 6 years ago for college, so they definitely haven't seen each other between those times. I'm planning to talk to him when he gets home from work though, and I trust that he hasn't done anything. I do hope to leave my parents out of it since they are both pretty old at this point and don't need to handle sibling issues for us anymore. Thank you for the advice. Commenter 2. I mean, is your fiancé bisexual? Seems that if he's gay, this is a total non-issue and you guys can laugh that your sister thinks she can change a dude's sexuality. I talk to your fiancé and tell him what you overheard. He deserves to know in case your sister does something dumb like trying to corner him to kiss him. Reply. He's gay, which makes it even weirder because my sister knew about that early on. She had always been pretty supportive of us together, which makes this even more confusing. I'll definitely talk to him soon, but I really hope she doesn't try anything. Update. Hi again everyone. I first want to thank all the people that responded. I really didn't expect to get so much advice. I probably would have still been panicking and bottling this up if you guys didn't help out. Unfortunately it still went bad, but I'm glad I listened to you guys for it all. Also, to clarify a few things I saw people get confused on in the comments. My fiancé is gay, and I never doubted his loyalty, which is why I barely mentioned him in the original post. I was mostly concerned about my sister since we had wanted her in the wedding party, so it was extra scary to hear she was crushing on my fiancé. Along with that, I know a lot of you said to just leave it be, but for the reason above along with my personal beliefs, I really didn't want to let it simmer. Anyways, I ended up talking with my fiancé the day after I made the post, once he got home from work and we were settled. I sort of word vomited at him, but I tried to remember the advice I had gotten. He was equally disturbed, probably a bit more since he has dealt with a similar situation at work once. We both definitely wanted to talk to her and just clear the air, and ended up making a little plan to meet her in a park. Originally, it was only going to be me, but my fiancé wanted to stay nearby in the car, so yesterday I texted her and we met. Honestly, I'm still recovering from everything she said to me, so I won't repeat much of it here. The basic gist is that once we chatted for a bit, I brought it up gently that I had heard her at the reunion party and wanted to communicate with her about the things she said. One thing I didn't feel the need to mention in the original post was that I am also a transgender man. It didn't matter to the issue, or at least I thought it didn't. However, once I asked my sister, she started on a whole tirade with a lot of right-wing talking points, mostly that she didn't get why my fiancé was settled for a confused girl rather than someone like her, and admitting that yes, she has feelings for him since she thinks he deserves better than me. I didn't say much to her, but once I realized what was going on I just said that I was done and left. I really don't know how she's changed so much since the girl I grew up with. She used to be super supportive, which she even acknowledged and said she was just as lost as I am. After that I was just a mess, so I apologize for not updating sooner. My sister is living with my parents while she works to get a job in the new area, so she's also started telling them about the conversation. Both of my parents don't want to get involved, which I understand, and I tried texting her to tell her to stop bothering them, but she blocked me, so I guess that's that. My fiancé wants to cut her from the wedding as a whole, and I'm just leaning on him as a pillar right now. I wish this was a happier update, and I still really don't know what to do. Still, thank you all for the advice you gave, and if you guys have any advice on how to deal with this new issue, I'd take it. Is there a way to get through to her? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. How did they share a couple of classes in high school when they were 5 years apart? Were you transgender in high school while you were high school sweethearts? You throw a pale visual 737. Reply. Apologies, I meant to say clubs. We went to a combined middle and high school, and they were in a few clubs together. And yes, I was out in high school. Commenter 2. Florida strikes again. She was likely and easily indoctrinated while down there. I'd block and ignore her for now. There's no reasoning with these people when they're still on the Kool-Aid. Maybe after some time back in the north, she'll deconstruct a bit. It's not your job to fix her, OP, and you'll likely make things worse if you had the inclination to even try. I'd be pissed at my parents for tacitly supporting her transphobia. Reply. I didn't want to assume, but it is what it's sounding like. I really don't know what went on when she was in Florida since she barely spoke to us, and I don't have much social media, so I don't follow her anywhere. I really wish she came to her senses, and I'll have to talk to my parents too about their reaction. Commenter 3. She cannot be trusted not to make a scene at the wedding. Disinvite her and have security there. Honestly, I wouldn't involve her in your life at all unless she went through some serious therapy and offered both you and your fiancé a sincere apology. Even that prospect shouldn't be entertained until after the wedding, because you can't be sure she isn't just trying to say and do the right things to get back into being invited. Edit. OP, you should have some conversations with mutual friends about this as well. If she was crying into one of their arms at the party, it's likely her feelings and beliefs towards you have come up in the past. Reply. My fiancé said a similar thing, that she might make a scene, and I think I'm starting to agree seeing all these comments. Unfortunately, the girl she was crying into at the party was one of her closer friends, so I doubt I'd get anywhere if I tried to find her. OOP when asked why the parents are supporting the sister and not getting involved. Thank you. Now that I've had more time, and seeing all these comments, I'm realizing that my parents really should have said something. I just felt bad for them getting involved at all since they're both older and really don't need to deal with family drama. My mom has always loved my sister a lot, so I imagine it's hard for her to process. I still don't know how to handle disinviting her. We have a fairly big family and it will spark some questions if she isn't there. She was going to be part of my groomsmen originally too. Stories number 12. My girlfriend wants me to give her daughter my dead son's room. Since this is pretty close to home, literally, I'm using this throwaway that may or may not be used again, who knows. So, I, am 45, have 2 kids, Evan, M17, and Jill, F21. Evans was my biological child and Jill is from my current relationship with my, Jane, girlfriend, F45, I've been in for 2 years. Evan unfortunately took his own life 3 years ago and since then I've not touched his room. I go in there, think, look around, cry, mourn, and all. Honestly, I'm in his room more than my own sometimes. Recently, month or 2 ago, Jane and Jill moved in fully and Jill requested her own room. I didn't mind giving her this, but it would take a few months for it to be built, and in the meantime I said she could sleep on the pull-out couch. She instead asked for Evan's room and I told her no. She went on to tell me that since the room isn't used she should just stay there. I again told her no. I said hell no this time, and she dropped it. I felt like I was being generous. She's 21 years old, lives in my house rent-free, and only had to upkeep on chores. She brought this up to her mother and Jane surprisingly agreed that she should get his room instead of me just having another built. I told her hell no politely. SND left the conversation at that. I knew that anything else would be pointless. She, Jane, said that I was holding on to the past and that he wouldn't want this. Mind you, she didn't know my son at all. She knew of his passing but she didn't know him as a person. It made me furious how she said that to me as if she knew what he would want from me. I admittedly blew up and got emotional since I've honestly never healed from the grief. I told her that if she couldn't respect my boundaries when it came to my son that she could leave with her grown adult daughter. I did yell and I apologized for that. She told me I was overreacting and I need to know, especially from other grieving parents if I had. Edit. For the therapy recommendations, I am in therapy, can't say it's helped a lot but it's done something, I hope at least. Stories number 13. I left my son on the side of the road and made him walk home. A few days ago I, 54M, picked up my daughter, 15F, and son, 18M, from school. Whilst in the car they got into a fight about how I guess my daughter was dating my son's best friend. As they were arguing with each other my son screamed, "Whatever, I'll just fuck your trailer trash, slut of a best friend." I immediately intervened as I did not raise my son to talk about women like that. I told him that he needed to learn how to be a real, respectful man before I allow him to have any association with me, and that he's too old to not know how to treat women. I then told him to get out of the car and that he'd be walking home from now on. My wife is pissed at me now. I honestly don't see a problem with it. We only live 10 minutes from the school and when I made him get out of the car we were less than 3 miles away. I'm not sure about nowadays, but when I was in school most kids walked way farther every day. Was I too harsh with my punishment? My wife is also adamant that what he said was just normal behavior for a teenage boy, but I personally don't think it's acceptable for anyone, much less a young man, to talk like that. Aita. Stories number 14. My boyfriend got mad when I said I'd only have a threesome if it was with another guy. Me and my boyfriend got into an argument recently. He mentioned threesomes kind of randomly, and while it seemed like he was joking at first, he must have been serious. But I gave him a real answer, and I don't think he liked it. I told him that, if I were to ever have a threesome, the only way I'd be okay with it is if the third person was another guy. As soon as I said that, his mood changed. He got kind of defensive and asked, "What do you mean? Wouldn't it be more comfortable if it was another girl?" Along those lines, I told him no, because I'm not attracted to women. A threesome with another girl wouldn't do anything for me, which it wouldn't, and honestly, it would just feel weird. He started getting agitated and gave me this whole argument about how 2 guys and 1 girl isn't the same, and that it's not a threesome at that point, it's a train. He said most guys wouldn't be comfortable being intimate in the same space with another man, especially not while sharing a woman. It's like a masculinity pride territory thing, according to him. He also mentioned that for most couples, threesomes are usually 2 girls and 1 guy, because it's more normalized and less threatening to the relationship, whatever that means. The whole thing kind of left me feeling weird. Like, why is it only okay if it's another girl? That just sounds like he wants to sleep with another woman with permission. And I couldn't help but think, do you already have someone in mind? Why is this even on your mind in the first place? It just felt really one-sided and unfair. I'm not saying I even want to have a threesome, but the double standard just rubbed me the wrong way. Stories number 15. My boyfriend got mad when I said I'd only have a threesome if it was with another guy. Me and my boyfriend got into an argument recently. He mentioned threesomes kind of randomly, and while it seemed like he was joking at first, he must have been serious. But I gave him a real answer, and I don't think he liked it. I told him that, if I were to ever have a threesome, the only way I'd be okay with it is if the third person was another guy. As soon as I said that, his mood changed. He got kind of defensive and asked, "What do you mean? Wouldn't it be more comfortable if it was another girl?" Along those lines, I told him no, because I'm not attracted to women. A threesome with another girl wouldn't do anything for me, which it wouldn't, and honestly, it would just feel weird. He started getting agitated and gave me this whole argument about how 2 guys and 1 girl isn't the same, and that it's not a threesome at that point, it's a train. He said most guys wouldn't be comfortable being intimate in the same space with another man, especially not while sharing a woman. It's like a masculinity pride territory thing, according to him. He also mentioned that for most couples, threesomes are usually 2 girls and 1 guy, because it's more normalized and less threatening to the relationship, whatever that means. The whole thing kind of left me feeling weird. Like, why is it only okay if it's another girl? That just sounds like he wants to sleep with another woman with permission. And I couldn't help but think, do you already have someone in mind? Why is this even on your mind in the first place? It just felt really one-sided and unfair. I'm not saying I even want to have a threesome, but the double standard just rubbed me the wrong way. Stories number 16. My boyfriend got mad when I said I'd only have a threesome if it was with another guy. Me and my boyfriend got into an argument recently. He mentioned threesomes kind of randomly, and while it seemed like he was joking at first, he must have been serious. But I gave him a real answer, and I don't think he liked it. I told him that, if I were to ever have a threesome, the only way I'd be okay with it is if the third person was another guy. As soon as I said that, his mood changed. He got kind of defensive and asked, "What do you mean? Wouldn't it be more comfortable if it was another girl?" Along those lines, I told him no, because I'm not attracted to women. A threesome with another girl wouldn't do anything for me, which it wouldn't, and honestly, it would just feel weird. He started getting agitated and gave me this whole argument about how 2 guys and 1 girl isn't the same, and that it's not a threesome at that point, it's a train. He said most guys wouldn't be comfortable being intimate in the same space with another man, especially not while sharing a woman. It's like a masculinity pride territory thing, according to him. He also mentioned that for most couples, threesomes are usually 2 girls and 1 guy, because it's more normalized and less threatening to the relationship, whatever that means. The whole thing kind of left me feeling weird. Like, why is it only okay if it's another girl? That just sounds like he wants to sleep with another woman with permission. And I couldn't help but think, do you already have someone in mind? Why is this even on your mind in the first place? It just felt really one-sided and unfair. I'm not saying I even want to have a threesome, but the double standard just rubbed me the wrong way. Stories number 17. My mom, 60F, wants me to donate my egg, 30F. How to save our relationship. My mom, 60F, has been with her husband for about 15 years. She is almost 20 years older than he is. She has 3 kids, a lot of health issues, heart, and last year something similar to a stroke. He has no kids but really wants some. Recently she has shared that she is actively losing weight to have another pregnancy. She has already tried I have with her own frozen eggs and it didn't work out, thank God. Now she is asking for me to donate the egg. I am terrified. I really don't want her to get pregnant because I am not comfortable with the idea of my biological kid not being with me. It most probably will kill her. What I should do with my child sibling once she is gone in 10-15 Her husband is very toxic. I don't want any kid to be around him. ESP bio mine. It is especially painful topic for me as I had my first pregnancy last year and due to complications had to TFM. My mom is now actively tries to persuade me to postpone my attempts for your health reasons, while pushing me to donate an egg. I know I won't. Question is how to communicate it. Also, I am kind of mad at her for asking me this. What to do? Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you literally just say no, this is not something you are comfortable doing. Coming from someone who has done egg donation 3x times, it's not a simple process. Reply, I am very far away from the topic. She said if we do it hormones, it should not be uncomfortable. Is it true? I won't do it anyway, but I want to know if she is actively lying to me at this point. Commenter 2, tell her no and that you want her to stop asking. How is it even possible for her to have a baby at that age? Isn't she post-menopause? Reply, she doesn't have menopause at this point. It is typical for our family, my grandma entered it in her 70s. OOP on her relationship with her mother and the possible selfishness behavior. Reply, yeah. I didn't speak to her for a year, after another big issue. She is very immature and selfish, but simultaneously she is the most generous and selfless person I know. She raised me and my siblings alone, worked 3 jobs to give all of us the best education. It is undeniable that my siblings' success is due to her input. We can always turn up to her for help. If she was just always horrible, it would be much easier. We have just started to rebuild the relationship. Commenter 3, OP, do you have kids of your own? I'm asking this because there are certain laws around egg donation surrogacy that your mother can't get around. Depending on your country, or if you're in the US, state, no clinic or doctor would allow what your mom is planning. I also have a feeling that with IVF having failed before, surrogacy is her next plan. Nobody can force you to do that for her. Clinics' doctors will have you sign papers, permissions, waivers, and disclaimers. They will not allow the procedure if your mother is talking you into signing it. They also won't allow you to be a surrogate if you don't have kids of your own. I don't know about donating eggs though, but maybe you find some loophole somewhere that you can turn around to benefit you. Reply, I don't have kids, only one pregnancy that ended in abortion. We are not in the US, and in my country you can bypass any laws if you are wealthy enough. My mom can afford that. She does think about surrogacy, but thank God she doesn't ask me for that. Surrogacy is allowed here and there are women who offer their services. Thanks for your input anyways. OOP on her mother and her husband's relationship and why he wants children with her. Reply, I think 15 years ago when they got together it was not important to him. Thinking about him, gave me another reason why I don't want to. This guy doesn't really work, kind of hangs out and does host functions at my mom's establishment, doesn't do anything at home but pretends to me an alpha male. If they succeed, the childcare will be fully on my mom. Her being 60 and having health issues, it can be too much. OOP on her relationship with her mother. Reply, you are right. I think I am just tiptoeing around because I crave a normal, mother-child relationship with her. She has great RLP with my brothers, they love her a lot, but for some reason we can never get along. First she saw me as a competition, I moved out to my grandparents once her HB moved in because of that, then she failed to support me through the most horrible phase of my life. I had cancer and she didn't even came to visit because, how will my boys survive without me? Plus it was COVID, so traveling was difficult. To be fair, she apologized for it and we kind of built something, or so I thought, but now this. And almost directly after my TFMR, it's been only 6 months, I am still grieving. Update. Hi guys, here is the update to my crazy donor situation. First of all, thanks a lot for your ideas. One of the commenters suggested that I write it down and I did. That was brilliant. I am really struggling to communicate my thoughts when I am nervous and speaking. I gathered all of your points, suggestions and sent this message. Hi, Mom. I talked to my doctor and researched the topic of the donation. I will not be doing that, I do not qualify for this anyways. I also find it quite inconsiderate to ask me for that after my experience last year. I as well very disappointed that you did not give a second thought on how it will influence me, my mental health and the dynamic of the relationships in our family. Regarding your pregnancy, it is fully your decision, but I would like you to consider the following points. I am worried how it will affect your health. Pregnancy is complicated and dangerous experience given your condition. Even the best doctors won't be able to help in certain situations. Little bro's name is still way too young and still needs you a lot. It is irresponsible towards him. Pregnancy in 60s has high chances of abnormality. It is irresponsible towards this hypothetical child. Even if it all works out, I am afraid you won't be able to provide necessary care to this child ESP in his teens young adulthood. You will have to do childcare alone. We both know your HB won't help, and you just started to do the self-care you needed. Additional stress and work is not what you need at this stage in your life. You should be enjoying your retirement. I really hope you will look into this before you decide to proceed. I was left on read for some time. TBH, I kind of thought it is NC time again. Then she answered. She apologized, and she said I was right, and that she didn't want to offend me. The only thing she claimed I am wrong about, she will stay very active in her 80s and that it is more a psychological barrier people have. Sure, Mom, not physical at all. I answered, sure, I hope you stay active until your 100s. And that was it. I am still shocked that it went so smoothly. I know it doesn't sound very exciting for you, but in my eyes that this is giant. My mom never apologizes. I guess she actually did not want it as well, or maybe stroke after last round of IVF was scary enough. Ick. A compulsory question in the end. Any thoughts? Relevant comments. OOP responds on her mother being active in her 80s if she was to have another kid. Reply, yeah, I also know couple of 60, 80s y old, including my grandma-in-law, who have very active personalities and who had to scale down due to health limitations. I think my mom is too scared to get old and pretending that she can avoid that calms her down. OOP on her area clinic not treating IVF for anyone over 55. Reply, yeah, I got this comment a lot. I think it is because the clinic is not in a developed country. On their website Re-Age it just says they do not recommend it after 50 due to low chances, and if you still want to proceed they advise donor egg cells. The only hard cut they mention is severe psychological issues, severe genitalia malformation, malignant melapasms, I take it as cancer, and severe illnesses, stage 3 diabetes. Commenter 1, that's a pretty reasonable result after top-tier delula ballet from Ops Mom. Commenter 2, I just gotta say, any DR doing IVF on a 60-year-old woman should lose their license. Commenter 3, I am absolutely delighted. This is the best possible outcome. It sounds like she was struggling mentally a lot, and had clung on to this delusion both about getting pregnant and how easy it would be for you to donate an egg, and your message finally snapped her out of it. Fingers crossed that's the end of it now and she's not going off buying donor embryos and things. Stories number 18. Aita for sterilizing myself against my partner's wishes. I, 28F, and my partner, 28M, have 2 children together and have been married for 8 years. For those 8 years I've either been on birth control when we were preventing pregnancy or tracking my cycle when we were trying to conceive, adding this just to give the community the context that reproductive responsibility has always fallen on my shoulders. Recently we discussed the possibility of being done with children since we have our 2 and the family really feels complete. My partner is in agreement that a 3rd child is off the table for him as well. So with that I thought, great. I can bring up sterilization for either him or I. The reason I wanted this is because I've had every form of birth control before and none of them ever left me feeling 100% okay, so I wanted to be done with birth control completely since we both agreed we're done. It's been about 3 months since our talk about more children, so I brought up either getting a vasectomy for him or me getting a salpingectomy, removing my fallopian tubes. What I thought would be a productive conversation completely blew up. He outright refused a vasectomy, and when I was okay with that and said I'd happily get a salpingectomy, he completely flipped his shit on me, screaming at me about how he forbids it from happening and he won't allow me to damage myself like that. I ended up just leaving the conversation and headed to get our kids from school, but on the way I ended up calling my gynecologist to schedule a consultation for the salpingectomy after making sure I won't need my spouse's approval. So Reddit Aita if I go through with the sterilization against my partner's wishes? Relevant comments. OOP responds to multiple comments about women needing their husband's approval for this to take place with the sterilization. Reply, actually yes, sadly, my friend had hers done a few months ago and her gynecologist required a sit-down consultation with both her and her husband as well as a form stating that they understood the procedure and agreed to it signed by both parties. Commenter 1, EW he just tipped his hand to how he really feels, and it's unsavory. You're NTA, and I hate that you're questioning that. Your body. Your choice. You're done with kids, and this is a logical step. Why does he feel this way so strongly on both of you? What has him so twisted? Reply, I honestly wish I knew. He seems supportive of our friends, both men and women, who have had sterilization procedures. Is the husband usually that controlling? Reply, no, he's never shown any controlling behavior before, it's completely blindsided me. OOP should hide her birth control so her husband can't get to them. Reply, thankfully I have the IUD, it's been a bitch to my period but it's done the job. Update 1. Due to the support and advice I found on here I managed to get the confidence and level headspace needed to try to have another conversation with my partner. After getting our children to their school daycare for the day I went to our local coffee shop to pick us up each a cup. I figured it can either be seen as a show of care or a peace offering. Once I got home he was sitting at our island doom scrolling through TikTok. I think we've all been there. I decided standing across from him would be a bit of a better choice, so I gave us our respective cups and asked if I could get his attention for a conversation. Well, what I hoped would be productive turned unproductive quickly as he sighed with an eye roll and turned off his phone. I started by asking the big question of if he wanted any more children. I even suggested he doesn't think about what I said on the subject and just tell me his feelings about more children. With that he answered a firm no and told me as he said before a 3rd child is and will always be off the table. I then asked him if he had any fears or concerns about surgery's medical procedures. He said no to this question as well. So I asked if he understood the procedure and what it entailed, and he said yes he does, which is why he doesn't want me to get it done. In his words, I wouldn't be a woman if I got any part of my reproductive organs, what makes me a woman, removed, and he refuses to allow me down that path. I then followed up by asking about his getting a vasectomy, and he said it's pretty much the same thing for men and he won't let anyone take away if manhood. The final question I managed to ask was, did he just expect me to be on birth control forever? And this man looked me in the face and said, it's worked so well for me already, why change things up? Guys, as I stated in my previous post, I am miserable and in debilitating pain with birth control. At the end of this, I just grabbed my coffee and went sit on our porch, just trying to wrap my head around the conversation while he sit in the house acting like nothing is wrong and we're just having a normal day off together. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I'm trying to find a respectful way to ask this but not coming up with anything, so I'm just going to ask. Does your husband have any sort of intellectual impairment? The idea that you aren't a woman if you have surgery is so ridiculous that I can't believe a person with a 3-digit IQ would suggest that. Is there any possibility that he'd participate in couples counseling? Reply, as far as I'm aware he's perfectly fine mentally. I even would have called him intelligent before these recent discussions. Commenter 2, so he's already told you and shown you he doesn't care that you are in pain. What else can we tell you, honey? He doesn't care for you in the same way you care for him. Reply, I'm definitely realizing that. Makes me feel like every time he's taken care of me due to the birth control issues was just a lie. Has OOP considered about other types of birth control before going on the sterilizing journey? Reply, considering I've worked with my actual doctor very closely since I've turned 18 to find a birth control that works well for me, and they agree that my problems are caused by my birth control, for example being a bloody pain-filled mess unable to get out of bed during my periods, I think I'll stick to my doctor's evaluations. OOP explains the side effects. Reply, so my minor side effects are a heavy blood flow that I am constantly ruining clothes during my periods, pain so bad that I'm either unable to get out of bed or I pass out from it, depressive episodes, suicidal thoughts, and weight gain. The best times of my life is when I was off of birth control while we were trying to conceive our children. If wanting to be able to feel like that all the time is over emotional, then I guess I am. Update 2. Hey Reddit, I just wanted to give a small update. I've been reading all of your comments on my last 2 posts, I swear. I appreciate all the advice and kind words, sometimes even the unkind words, because it gives me more to think about. So to start, I've been at my sister's with the children all weekend. I told my husband that she was feeling lonely and wanted us to stay over. He believed it, as we usually try to do this once a month. I called off of work Monday so my sister and I can meet with the divorce lawyer that handled her divorce. I'm unsure if divorce will be the path I go down, but I want to get my ducks in a row before laying it all down for my husband. Also, I would like to answer some questions that I saw a lot of in my last post. Yes, I still plan to go through with the sterilization. I absolutely don't want any more children even if this ends in divorce. I plan to tell him it's getting done no matter what he says or believes. There will definitely be no sex with him anymore. I feel like I lost all attraction and respect for him. The children don't know what's going on. They just think it's a fun time at Auntie's house. Condoms are a no. I exist because of a broken condom. I currently have an IUD, and while yes, it has been the best birth control I've been on, I still cannot function properly for a week out of the month due to pain, bleeding, and depressive episodes. No, he hasn't done anything like this before, which is what caught me so off guard with everything. Disagreements in our relationship have up until now been able to be discussed and compromised on. We grew up in a deep Catholic community but fell away from the church years ago. Commenter 1. I plan to tell him it's getting done no matter what he says or believes. Stop right there. He will clean out your bank accounts. Get this done quietly and quickly. Do not under any circumstances warn this man. Do not dismiss the seriousness of this moment. This is how you get dead. Reply, thankfully our finances for the most part are separated. The only joint bank account we have is for bills and child expenses. OOP's thoughts on getting the procedure. Reply, I want the procedure for myself no matter my relationship status. I want to be done with birth control without a chance of children no matter where the future takes me. As well as the fact that this procedure reduces the risk of cervical cancer significantly, which it's common in my family, so that's a plus. I haven't fallen out of love with him per se, but I truly hold no respect for him right now with how he's treated me over this. I'm unsure if we will divorce, but I feel like it might be for the best, especially if to him this will damage me. Last update for a bit. So I would like to start off by saying thank you everyone for the amazing support I've received throughout the comments and messages. I know I haven't replied in a while, but I have been reading it all. Now to start off, I'll update everyone on the meeting with the lawyer. I was able to talk through my options as well as what legally would be my husband's and what legally would be mine. I know my next steps of things would lead to divorce, and I feel confident in taking those steps if needed. After the meeting I went back home and got settled back in. I ended up just doing normal tasks until the kids got home, and when my husband got home I suggested getting the children to bed early so we can talk, so we did just that. He ended up starting the conversation by saying if I plan to get the sterilization then he wants a divorce because he can't be with someone who doesn't share his same values. At that moment I knew this was it for us, so I informed him of my consultation this week for the surgery and my intention to go through with it no matter what. There was honestly a lot of back and forth. I want to say it lasted for 3 hours before he said he's done and left the house. He's been staying at his mom's and hasn't really asked about the children staying with him. I have offered per the suggestion of my lawyer but to no avail. Currently I'm getting a legal separation agreement written up so hopefully start the divorce process peacefully or as peacefully as possible. The kids ask about him but I just keep telling them he's helping grandma for a bit. I'm not sure how to tell them he won't be back. Thankfully my therapist suggested a children's therapist to me so I plan to set them an appointment soon. I'm honestly not too sure where everything went wrong with us. I always felt like we had true love but maybe I was just naive to any of the other signs. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, some advice, document everything because he's going to make this as ugly as possible. Remain calm and civil at all times and, no matter what, don't ever lose your temper. If you're going to meet with him try to have someone come with you. Reply, I've already been keeping communications through text but I'll definitely have someone with me if we meet. I know he plans to come this weekend to get some things but my sister has been staying with me so she'll be here. OOP explains on the providers doing the procedures without needing spousal approval when many others require it. Reply, thankfully that's becoming less common. It seems a lot of providers are stating, at least in my area, when they're open to doing these procedures without a spousal consent. My friend's doctor wouldn't even schedule her a consultation without her husband coming along. Does OOP's partner know she met with a lawyer? Reply, I haven't mentioned meeting with a lawyer yet. I didn't want to throw any gas onto the already lit fire especially with the kids home. His mom thinks we can still work it out and his dad seems to be staying out of it from what I'm understanding. Commenter 2, so he wants to be able to force you to have more children he won't interact with. CYA by documenting everything and recording whatever you can and the home that he abandoned if he ever comes by. Always make sure any interactions with him in the future are verifiable whether by witnesses or recordings even if he says he's bringing his mom with him have your own witness there and possibly even record it. He may try to push you into arguments with him and then record it when you blow up at him not showing the fact that he's been needing you for an hour. Like I said CYA all of your interactions going forward need to be documented. New update. I know a few people have been messaging me as well as commenting on a few platforms for an update on everything going on. To start off with the divorce, I'm finishing up with my lawyer to get the divorce petition written and served to my husband that should happen before the end of this month. Last I heard from his side with the divorce he got a lawyer for himself and once served wants all communications going through our lawyers. I finished up sorting through our asset divisions and making a custody plan so my lawyer has that ready to be sent over to his lawyer for any questions or concerns about it. I'm sure there will be a bit of back and forth until an agreement is met. Next an update about the children. They now know we are separating and going through a divorce. While initially they were very upset with the news things kind of settled and became accepted, they are in therapy individually and us as a family so I'm hoping that stays helping them. My husband has been having them about 1 day a week, usually being Saturday during the day as he expresses not being able to handle them alone at night. I keep him in the loop about therapy, even offering him to come if he is willing, which so far has been a no to the few sessions we have had. I also make sure he knows that he is welcome to have the children more than just a day. I'm hoping he comes around to co-parenting a bit better because I know the kids do miss him. I try to communicate with him on the happening in the kids' life such as school and extracurriculums but he keeps pushing me to communicate through his mom. So far I have been sending them both similar messages so there is proof I'm communicating with him directly as well as his preferred way. Lastly my surgery. My consultation went amazingly and my surgery is scheduled for the end of June. My mom and sister will be with me through the surgery and healing process. I'm very thankful for them. My gynecologist did remove MG-IUD about a week ago and honestly I've been feeling so much better and as each day passes I feel like I'm really coming back to myself. I'm just waiting for that first period to see if it'll be like they usually are or if I'm back to normal. I am getting a full workup though in about 2 weeks. My doc wants my hormones, vitamins, and everything checked as well as doing a few ultrasounds to check everything. So that's really all I have going on, nothing exciting or groundbreaking. Just a sad start to a divorce and medical stuff. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. He's mad because you're getting sterilized but the moron can't handle his kids overnight. Here's the real deal, somewhere deep in his mind he thinks that now that you're getting sterilized, you're gonna be going out all the time having sex and not worrying about pregnancy and that's why he's gonna saddle you with those kids 7 days a week so you never get a chance to date again. Force him to take his children every weekend or at least every other weekend overnight. Reply, I honestly thought about it because I know the kids deserve time with him but I'm worried that it'll just do more harm than good to them. If he can't handle them I know his mom is there but I don't want him to make it seem like they're not worth his time when they're already going through so much. Commenter 2, talk to his mom about it and see if she'll slap some sense into his idiot head. Your poor kids. Reply, it's definitely been mentioned, I know she doesn't want to rock the boat too much but has offered to have them for some sleepovers once summer starts if they want. I will encourage them to go to spend the time with family. Commenter 3, we're rooting for you and hope you the best. Given how your husband has been, you might want to consider using a co-parenting app where all communication goes through the app. Use the app for all communication, no more phone calls, texting, emails, etc. I imagine he can share the app with his mom, that way, both of them get your messages, and you have proof of what was communicated. For example, he can't complain that he wasn't told about something when it's right there in the app. Reply, I have suggested it because in my last post someone mentioned it, but he refused to download anything. So now I'm just keeping things to text or recording phone calls. He refuses to meet so his mom does drop-offs and pick-ups for the kids. Commenter 4, NTA but ask about uterine ablation with the tubal removal and see if that's something you might be interested in. Basically they cauterize the uterine tissue and making it so you no longer have periods. I felt pretty crampy next day from it but then I was fine afterwards and haven't had a period since. It's been 6 years and I had my tubes removed during my C-section with my last pregnancy. It's called Nova Sure. Reply, I'm definitely going to mention it at my next appointment. Honestly I love learning about all this, I'm excited to feel like a functional person. Stories number 19. Aita for not allowing my aunt to meet my son. I, 45M, got married late in life and my wife and I had our first child, 1M. We live in a separate state from the rest of my family and visit maybe once a year. Growing up, my father's sister, 69F, made my life a living hell for some reason. She would be in my much older brother's ear about how my parents preferred me over him. She would tell my parents that I would end up just like her juvenile delinquent daughter. Now that I'm an adult, she now will point out if I've gained weight, remind me of any mistakes I've made in life and generally just be nasty and shit talk me to everyone. I had finally had enough during a random encounter with her while I was with a coworker. My coworker was singing my praises for helping her with the transition into her new role and that I was a good friend. My aunt said that couldn't possibly be true and that I'm bad at my job. My coworker was appalled and asked if my aunt really was related to me. Once my son was born, I put my foot down and said I would not allow this toxic relationship anywhere near my boy as I want to protect him from her bullshit. We all recently met up in my home state for a wedding and when she beelined to me and my son, I abruptly ignored her and went to a different part of the venue. My family generally understands my feelings towards her but thought I should have taken it easy since it was a joyous family event. My wife is firmly on my side. I want my son to have family, especially since he's the youngest by far, but I don't think being family is a pass to be a prick to someone. Aita. Stories number 20. My boyfriend told me I only get whatever's left of him. I, 25F, just need to get this off my chest because I feel like I'm losing my mind. This started because I brought up something that made me uncomfortable, my boyfriend, 27M, following random half-naked women on social media. We've already had issues with him entertaining other females online, so I told him it made me feel disrespected. Instead of acknowledging that, he flipped it on me, blocked me, and said I don't try to look good for him or send him pictures anymore. The truth is, I do send him pictures. But every time I do, I get a dry response, just a heart emoji or nothing at all. Meanwhile, he's online liking and following other women who post the same kinds of pictures he complains about me posting. So I stopped sending them because I felt unappreciated. And now that's something else he holds against me. He constantly claims I don't do anything spontaneous, but for our anniversary I planned a whole weekend getaway. I paid for everything, made sure we had fun, and gave my all to make it special. I was also planning a Cancun trip for us. But somehow none of that matters. He says I don't try to look good for him anymore. But he doesn't take me anywhere. Am I supposed to sit around the house in full glam for no reason? Of course I dress up when I go out with friends, because I'm actually going somewhere. He never plans dates or creates moments for me to show up for him like that, but then uses it as ammo to say I don't care. Yesterday he told me he gives me whatever he has left at the end of the day. As if I should be grateful for scraps. Meanwhile, his kid, his job, and his business get 100%. But the woman who's always held him down. I get what's left over. That crushed me, and then he went silent. Walked around the house like I didn't exist. I overheard him on the phone with his mom saying he feels like he can't breathe with me. Then he casually tells her he's going to the wedding we were supposed to go to together with his friend instead. He asked me to take PTO for that Monday. I already requested the day off. I already bought my outfit. But now I'm being replaced without even a heads up. I poured my heart out over and over again. He responded with silence, and eventually a dry, I told you I'm trying to change. Like that's supposed to be enough. I know I told him I was done, but this isn't love. I've spent so much time thinking maybe I was asking for too much. But I'm realizing now I was asking the bare minimum from someone who never truly showed up. I just need to know, are you okay with your partner just trying? Is trying enough when it's always coming with excuses, silence, and hurt? Edit, check comments for screenshots. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's taken the time to read my post, go through the screenshots, and offer advice or support. I appreciate all of your words more than you know. I think deep down I've always known what I needed to do, but I was scared to make the wrong decision, scared of letting go of the last 4 years of my life. But reading your comments gave me a whole new perspective. You've helped me finally see this for what it is, and you've given me the courage to start moving on with my life. I wish I could respond to everyone individually, but please know that I've read every single comment and I appreciate you all so deeply. I needed to hear this. Thank you, truly. Stories number 21. I got back at my roommate for constantly stealing my food. So, I've had this roommate for about 6 months now, and for some reason, she thinks it's okay to help herself to whatever is in the fridge, especially my food. I tried talking to her multiple times, but it never changed. I was getting frustrated because I work hard for my groceries, and she would always take the last of whatever I bought, even if it was clearly labeled. It felt like she wasn't even respecting me or my stuff. Finally, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I went to the store and bought a few things she really liked, things that were a bit more expensive. I didn't tell her, of course. Instead, I mixed them with some of the most awful, disgusting stuff I could find, like overly spicy sauce or expired products, things that would definitely not taste good. Then I carefully swapped it all in the fridge so it looked just like my usual stash. I let her steal my food for the next couple of days. The best part? She never said anything, but I could tell she was completely disappointed with what she was getting. It's a little petty, but it felt so good to know she was getting a taste of her own medicine. Anyone else had to deal with a situation like this? How did you handle it? Stories number 22. AIT 26F, for telling my nephew, 14M, that he is adopted. Context, my brother, Billy, 41M and his wife, Chloe, 39F adopted their son, Ryan, 14M when he was a newborn. I am 26F and using a throwaway. When my brother and Asiel adopted Ryan, they decided not to tell him that he was adopted until he was old enough to understand. It's important to understand that Ryan is a really smart kid, he's crazy smart. Last Friday, we all went round to my parents' house for dinner. This included, myself, Billy, Chloe, Ryan, my older sister Ella, 32F and our parents. After dinner, we all kind of separated into different rooms to chill. My nephew and I are both into Minecraft and he was showing me his new world on his iPad. We were just chatting about the normal stuff when he asked, "So why do you think my parents adopted me?" very, very casually. I was caught very off guard because my brother and Asiel hadn't mentioned anything about telling him. I didn't know what the heck to say and how they'd explained it to him, so all I said was, "This is something I'd speak to your parents about, mate," verbatim. He nodded and said, "Yeah," and changed the subject. Not long after, my brother and Chloe came in and said they were heading home. I didn't want to mention it in front of Ryan, so I thought I'd shoot them a message once they're home. When they left, I mentioned it to my parents and Ella, who were also shocked that Chloe and Billy hadn't mentioned telling him to them either, so none of us were prepared to answer any questions he may have. I messaged Billy and in under 1 minute Chloe was on the phone swearing and screeching like a banshee. It turns out that Ryan had not been told that he was adopted, and by saying, "You should speak to your parents about this," I actually did tell him, and I should have said that he's not adopted. I'm not sure why Ryan asked, but he's a smart kid, he must have had some kind of inkling, which is why instead of asking directly, he asked my opinion on why. That was Friday evening. Chloe went insane down the phone. I could hear Billy in the background saying that I was out of line and I'm not a parent, so I don't understand the gravity of what I've done, etc. It's now Wednesday evening and my family is still divided and not communicating properly. My parents understand my point of view, but our sister, Ella, is saying that I'm an idiot that was manipulated by a teenager and has called me a complete asshole for stepping on his parents' toes. I've had Chloe's family message me over the weekend calling all sorts of names. I've been told I'm not allowed to their anniversary party next month, etc. All this to say, it's a complete and utter shit show. AITA in this scenario? I understand that I should have talked to his parents before I gave him any kind of answer, but it was in the moment. Does anyone have any advice on what to do now, because right now it looks like they're going no contact with me? Stories number 23. Living below my means and still broke. I might as well do drugs. I've always lived below my means to try to achieve a better life, but I am still broke. And I honestly don't think I can manage much longer. Since becoming a legal adult I have never drank, smoked or done any drugs. Every time I wanted the nice outfit on the mall window I would tell myself that what I got is fine. I said no to nearly every social event to avoid spending money. I thought if I continue living the way I am that I will be wealthy enough to get my own house by 30. But here I am. Less than 3 weeks before 30, still living below my means and still broke. I went to college on and off to avoid getting student loans. It took me 10 years to get an associate degree that means nothing in today's standards. I did my best to eat healthy and exercise to avoid getting cancer like 2 of my older siblings did due to drugs. But guess what? I still got diagnosed with ovarian cancer and had to get surgery. I had to wipe out my savings and retirement plan just to pay the medical bills, utilities, and rent 2 years ago. Then while seeking for a better opportunity for a higher wage I just had to quit my job after 3 years because I couldn't take the BS any longer. I ended up having to use credit cards to pay bills due to being unemployed for 5 months. All of this while living below my means and soon I'll be 30. I am nowhere where I imagined I did be at this age. Yet I am constantly broke while trying to save and pay off debt. I am starting to feel as though I might as well do drugs. Stories number 24. Aita for not allowing my sister-in-law to be involved with anything involving my unborn child. My sister-in-law, 32F, is the one who introduced me to her brother. We were friends for a little while and I was going through a hard time so I stayed with their family. I paid rent every month to their mother for a room, before we got together. She would pay for whatever they decided they needed which was fine. But SIL decided to put the electricity in her name and she expected me to pay it. It went fine at first because the amount I paid in rent covered that and more, but it got to the point in dead winter that it became almost $900 and I only paid my regular amount. $250. She threw a fit and said it was my responsibility. All the while everyone in the house paid rent but her. After that went down she started calling me names like fat C****** and other disrespectful things. She's by no means small. She moved out. Everyone was ecstatic. I would see her driving by screaming profanities at me every single time she saw me. She would also threaten me. Whatever, I'm not in the least bit afraid of her, but this has continued for years. Most recently she called my job and told them that I assaulted her on the property of my job. I don't think she even came to my job. She's been caught sitting outside of my home for hours watching me. It's gotten so crazy that I've had to put paperwork on her for stalking and harassment and online abuse. I found out I was pregnant 3 months ago. She had the audacity to tell my husband, 34M, she wants to babysit and throw the baby shower. My sister is already doing it. My husband has a hard time so he told her we weren't having one because he also doesn't want her there. She keeps bringing up things to my MIL about getting a crib to babysit and a stroller. Aita to say that she will absolutely never ever be near my baby and she has to be absolutely delusional to believe that I would allow that. It kind of feels like she thinks my husband will let it happen but he won't. I don't trust her anywhere near my child. I would also like to throw in that she has a kid, 9F, who when she was a baby used to drive around drinking with her in the back seat. She does struggle with alcoholism. I just am wondering what other people think. The most recent incident happened is December, so it's not like she's grown or tried to apologize. Aita edit, I would like to put it out there that I do not need my husband to fight my battles for me. He has stood up for me every time but I am more than capable of taking care of myself and my baby. But he's the man. WTF TFO. Stories number 25. Aita for getting frustrated that my girlfriend always falls asleep on the couch. We've been dating for over 2.5 years. She always falls asleep when we watch TV or relax on the couch. Initially, this was adorable as someone was willing to trust me enough to consistently fall asleep on me. I was patient and gently woke her up and put her to bed. After a year, I became impatient because I knew her well enough to be able to tell she was getting comfortable and about to sleep. So, I pause what we're watching and ask if she wants to go to bed. She always says she wants to stay on my lap. At first, I found this heartwarming and finished the remaining chores in the house, even though I didn't appreciate she didn't want to do it before falling asleep. And when I woke her back up to move to the bedroom she always wakes up confused and agitated. This makes me uncomfortable, and I've never liked waking anyone up. I also started feeling a bit parental, which is not the kind of relationship I want to have. Last night she was falling asleep on the couch again and I needed to go shower. I asked her if she wants to stay up or go to bed because I am going to shower. She said she will stay up until I am back. When I returned from the shower I found her sleeping and all of her homework left out on the table. She needs to pack up so she can leave to work tomorrow. We had a major fight because I woke her up but in an openly annoyed and agitated way and told her to start acting like an adult and sleep on the bed. We haven't spoken since and she is very mad at me. I am not sure how to handle this situation and wondering if I have to comfort her to bed for the rest of my life. Stories number 26. Being homeless has shown me people are evil. Over the past year I've been homeless and have struggled every day. I find it really hard to feed myself and I'm cold most nights. I found myself in this situation due to an injury I had at work years ago. I sadly couldn't work and my rent built up and I was evicted. The government won't house me because they claim to not have a duty of care towards me. I'm sick of being poor and hungry and I've just had enough. I go to the church once a week to be fed but they won't allow me to sleep inside the church. My family can't help because they've said I'm a grown man and need to create my own life. I would happily work myself out of this situation but with my injury it causes me to limp and I'm in constant pain. I live in the forest just outside of the town center and it's hard enough without the constant pain shooting through my legs. Being homeless has shown me how cruel humans can be. I've had my tent slashed, my bike destroyed and people making comments. I believe I'm a strong individual but there's only so much one person can take. My campsite was put on the local Facebook page. Not for being dirty but just someone claiming I'm a danger to dogs and children. Yeah. Your children are the ones that knifed my tent and destroyed my bike which is the only thing that gave my legs a rest. I have always been welcoming to people and offered them tea but they just give me looks and move on. Stories number 27. I fucking hate him so much. Not looking for input. I hate him so much. I hate his voice, I hate his laugh, I hate his stupid ideas, I hate the fucking trash he's accumulated over decades of a worthless life. I hate him. I didn't ask to take care of a fucking man baby in my 20s. I'm not his mom, why do I have to baby him like this? I had so much sympathy for him at the beginning, believe me. How horrible. To suddenly not be able to use the right side of your body. Felt so sorry for him, but that sense of pity died when he turned into a little baby, an infant incapable of patience or tolerance. Didn't help that even before he got his condition he was already the most disgusting human being I've ever met. Put me another movie. More water. You're gonna make me my food, right? More water. Change my diapers. More water. Fucking hell, don't you understand what I mean? Move my tools, trash, here. Move my tools, trash, there. Move my tools, trash, here. Move my tools, trash, there. Move my tools, trash, here. Move my tools, trash, there. Do I look like I want to play with your fucking trash? You will never be able to walk or use your right arm again, don't you get it? There's no workshop to return to. There's no curing you. The physician did a terrific job. He shouldn't have bothered. If it weren't for him you'd still be chair-bound. But you've gotten worse ever since, haven't you? Because you didn't put in the effort. Oh, no, it hurts. No, I don't wanna. I'll heal naturally. My friend has a home remedy that'll cure me. Nah, I've already done my exercises for the day. Lies. A progressively degenerating parasite is what you are. My time and energy, you think they are all for you. I'm not your fucking servant. You don't deserve any help whatsoever, you are no saint. A terrible husband, a terrible father and a mediocre grandfather. The best I can say about you? You used to bring me a lot of cookies. The best thing my mother, your one daughter who's decided to take care of you, can say about you? When she stood firm and decided to stop enduring your abuses, you backed down. That's it. A disgusting fat pig who's only being taken care of because my mom, whom you abused in the past, feels responsible for you. Because she has this stupid belief that family should always take care of family. And just like that, you've outlived so many of the people you knew. The wife you that merely tolerated during her final years passed and what did you do? You cried at her passing and started wearing your ring, a thing I never saw in your finger whilst she was alive. There's a thin line between not valuing something until you lose it and hypocrisy, but who cares about lines when you dive headfirst into a sea of hypocrisy? You'll live for many more miserable years, for the both of us won't you? You are well fed, you get good rest, you drink a lot of water and being fat is yet to give you any complications. If only I wasn't Mr. Too afraid of the consequences, if only I were a bit more impulsive, more reckless. I'd grab one of the many hammers, maces, that you've stashed with the rest of your garbage and use it to smash your skull, but not before letting you know, though I doubt it would get through your thick skull the same way the mace would, that you were never going to be healed of your condition and that after your fortunate demise I personally see to the disposal of every piece of trash you've hoarded over the years. As it is, I'm too afraid to even smash a door to show my frustration. This post is as much as I dare to do. Fucking hell. You've made me waste an entire hour of my life today, in between playing with your garbage and writing this shit. I have a thesis to write, but you don't care, do you? Your only worry is if we'll give you tortillas with your dinner. You fucking excuse of a man. Stories number 28. I, 34F, have my heart broken today after my fiance, 36M, gave a very sentimental gift to a coworker. I, 34F, have been noticing that my fiance, 36M, is becoming different around me, not bad differente but more caring when is around me, and I know him well enough to see right through him. We've been together for 15 years. Sorry for the spelling, English is not my first language. A year ago my fiancé started this new job and we were so happy because he's doing what love. From the get-go he starts being friends with the interns, and one in specific grabbed my attention. She is very shy and likes him a lot because he kinda protect her from some terrible guys on his workplace. Then she made a origami and gave it to him and he puts it on his desk. In a photo he showed me from his desk, I saw it and he told me that story. I didn't get jealous, I got concerned because she is very young and he just started the job. We all were young and infatuated with an older hero kinda man, and that scared me, because it could cost him his job if she got the wrong idea, and I told him so. He said he sees her as a little sister and she knows that. Well, cut to now a year in, he talks to her on the phone, he gets her Ubers and worries if she gets home okay, he watches what she tells him to, he listens to the songs she likes, and all of this I only know because he lets out a thing here and there. But today he broke my heart even more than he has been all this time. I've been noticing he's been very nice to me, more than normal, and today he got one of his favorite books and put it on his backpack. I asked him why, then he said, there are some people in the company that loves to pass books around for everybody to read, so I thought that some people could like to read this. I immediately knew it was for her, I just knew. At this point I no longer am scared for him, I'm very angry with him and his behavior, so I told him that I thought he wasn't telling me the truth, but he assured me that he was. In his lunch break he texted me saying this, baby, let me tell you. Today is so and so's birthday and I gave her the book. I didn't know it, so it got me by surprise, and I didn't go to her birthday lunch, so I gave her the book. My heart broke in half. Then I said that I knew that he was taking the book to give it to her, and he admitted it. He said that he knew that it would make me sad and he didn't want me sad. But here is some context: he never gave me a birthday present, never, and I blame myself for letting this behavior slide, but shit, that hurt. I have a lot of other examples of his relationship with this girl that made me suspicious of him. Is a year worth of stories and the post would be very long. At this moment he is at work and I don't know what to do. What should I do? I need some clarity right now. Stories number 29. Aita for refusing to be my sister's bridesmaid because she chose ugly friends to make herself look better. My sister, 27F, is getting married and asked me, 24F, to be one of her bridesmaids. I was excited, until I found out who the rest of the bridal party was. Every single one of them is someone she's either not that close to, or has made fun of before for being awkward or not photogenic. Some of her actual best friends, the ones who she sees all the time, weren't even asked. It felt weird, so I asked her why she picked this group. She kind of laughed and said, you'll understand when it's your wedding. You don't want people who'll outshine you in your own pictures. I just stared at her. I asked, so you picked them because you think they'll make you look better? She rolled her eyes and said, it's not that deep. I just want to feel confident that day, and I'm allowed to be a little selfish for my wedding. That rubbed me the wrong way. I told her I didn't want to be part of a bridal party built on tearing other people down, even subtly, and that she should have picked people she actually cares about. Now she's calling me judgmental and sensitive, and our mom says I'm being too idealistic and should just support her. But I feel like going along with it makes me complicit. Stories number 30. Terminally ill and racking up credit card debt with zero fucks to give. I've had cancer for 2 years now, did chemo, lost my leg, beat odds and managed to even go back to work. Well, shit hit the fan and treatment stopped working. Probably got weeks, maybe couple months at best. I am 22, don't own a house, don't own my car. Have maybe £2,000 in the bank. So I took out a credit card, 6.5k limit, 0% APR for 20 months. I was previously building up a good credit score, and am now buying whatever the fuck I want. The debt will die with me, and I give no fucks. And if you want to beef me about driving your bank fees up with this behavior, at least you get to live. LOL. Edit. Thank you all for your amazing responses. Unfortunately it's bone cancer that has spread through my whole body, so I'm too weak now to travel far, as much as I would have wanted to see the world. I'm going to go bigger, and do some good stuff, if you have ideas. I want to do some big donations to food banks and cancer charities that supported me through my journey and make some differences before I pop. Also, shame on you all of you asking me for money. Stories number 31. Revenge served cold. I've got a great example of petty revenge, not mine, but my late partner's. I was thinking about it the other day and figured it definitely belonged here. He used to work as a bartender in a modern bar, lots of cool IPAs, open to all ages, and even had a toy box for people who brought their kids. And in that toy box, was a kazoo. One afternoon, a pair of parents let their kid get their hands on said kazoo right at the start of the day, and the kid did not let it go. Like, ever. The parents managed to find the table furthest from the bar, out on the terrace, and their kid spent hours blowing that thing non-stop, annoying the hell out of everyone else, while the parents didn't lift a finger the entire time. The afternoon went by, the evening rolled in, and around 8 p.m., they suddenly remembered they had a child. They came back, picked her up, dropped the kazoo back in the toy box, and headed for their car. And that's when the petty revenge hit. My partner grabbed the kazoo, caught up with them just before they reached the car, and handed it to the kid with a big smile. She seemed to love it so much. The look on the parents' faces, too polite to say no, was worth every screechy minute of that noisy afternoon. So yeah, not my own story, but I think it deserved to be told. Stories number 32. My 38F husband, 42M, has a family friend, 54M, who is encroaching into my life. Has anyone experienced anything like this, and what was the outcome? I'm at a bit of a loss and hoping someone has dealt with something similar. My husband has a longtime family friend, let's call him Jack, 54M, who is deeply involved in his life, and now increasingly in mine and our child's. My husband and his mom, Mil, have known Jack for over 25 years. When we first started dating, Jack wasn't an issue. But after we had a child, things began to feel odd. Whenever we visit my Mil, she lives about 3 hours away, Jack is always there. He never hosts, never cooks, never helps tidy up. He'll have his dinner sorted, but won't lift a finger. He even has a key to Mil's house and will sometimes be there waiting for us, even if she isn't in. Jack is constantly trying to engage with my child in a way that feels excessive. For example, when my baby was less than a month old, Jack completely ignored the adults and just sat cooing at the baby. He often tries to hug my child in a way that makes me feel uneasy. It's like he sees himself as some sort of uncle or even a father figure, and honestly, it creeps me out. To make matters worse, Mil won't babysit unless Jack is also present. She says he will be upset that he missed put on spending time with my child. If we want her to come on a family holiday, Jack has to be invited too. Lately, my husband has started behaving the same way, as though Jack must be included in everything. Jack is single, has siblings and nieces nephews, but never seems to spend time with them. He only ever wants to do things with us. He's basically become a permanent fixture in our family life, and I can't stand it. He and my husband also run a business together, so they're very tied up professionally as well. But at what point is it okay to say, this is too much? Jack spends most evenings at Mil's house, yet despite her often mentioning jobs that need doing, he never offers to help. He just hangs around, doing very little, and still expects to be involved in everything we do. I'm trying to understand this dynamic. Jack and Mil have never been romantically involved, they're just companions, but I honestly don't get why his presence is being forced into my life and my child's life. I have tried several times to discuss this with my husband. He doesn't see why I have issues with this. I don't see why he doesn't. Has anyone ever been in a similar situation? How did you deal with it, and what was the outcome? Stories number 33. AIO for breaking up with my girlfriend because of how she responded to a gift I got her. Red heart. Last week I, 27M, won a decent parlay, not crazy money, but enough that I felt like doing something nice. So I took my girlfriend, 8 months together, out for a nice dinner and surprised her with a small Louis Vuitton bag. I figured she'd be happy, it was thoughtful and not cheap. Instead, she looked at it and basically said, "This is it." I expected a bigger bag, and more stuff. I was like, huh. When I asked what she meant, she just snapped. Told me I was being cheap, that I clearly didn't value her, and that if I really cared, I would have gone all out. It turned into a full-on argument, and honestly, I saw a side of her I hadn't before. I took a day to sit with it and ended up breaking up with her. It just felt off, like that level of entitlement over a gift said a lot. Now her family is coming at me saying I overreacted and should have just talked things out. They're saying she was caught off guard and just disappointed, and I'm throwing away a good relationship over one incident. But I don't know. Her response really rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't owe her anything from that win, and I genuinely thought the gift was thoughtful. Her reaction made me feel like whatever I do will never be enough. So yeah, was breaking up over this too much? Stories number 34. My sister's best friend accused me of SA. My family disowned me. Edit, sending me death threats in my DMs isn't appreciated. Long read. Just warning you, this happened over a week ago. I've come to terms with the fact that I'm not going to be able to convince anyone I'm innocent. I have to accept what's happened and move on, which sucks. My family are literally my whole life. I was so close with my mother especially. And now I'm probably not going to see them much anymore. I lived with my family. I'm 24, I know, loser alert. I just don't want to live alone. I was at the house alone, my mom and sister were shopping, and my brother was at work. There was a knock on the door and it's my sister's best friend. She said she texted my sister and she said she'll be home soon so she can just come in and wait. Fine, I guess. Just for context, she and my sister are 16. I didn't really want to hang around with her, but she's a guest in our house. I can't just go to my room and leave her on her own. So I sat in the living room with her and tried to make small talk. She was acting weird, like she was nervous. And she started asking weird questions. She was asking me if she was attractive, if I liked her outfit and if I would date her if I was her age. It obviously made me very uncomfortable and I didn't really know what to say. It quickly escalated to her asking more sexual questions, and pulling her top down to show off her chest. I didn't know what the fuck to do. If I said something, and she wasn't doing it intentionally and was just being overly chatty and comfortable, I'd look like a creep if I said anything. Accusing a minor of trying to seduce me wouldn't look good. I was just trying to laugh it off, and was hoping my sister would get back soon. I got my phone out and looked on Life 360, my mom wants to know where we all are, but she lets me turn my location off cause I'm old enough. They were still at the mall. Bearing in mind my sister's friend had been here for nearly over 20 minutes, and she said they'd be home soon. At this point I was almost 100% sure she was doing this intentionally. I straight up told her that she was making me uncomfortable, and that I would like her to leave until my sister gets here. She acts innocent again like she's doing nothing wrong, and I start doubting myself, until I walk her to the door and when we get there, she literally touches my crotch. I hit her hand away and told her to get the fuck out. She practically ran out the door and I locked it. I didn't know what to do. She and my sister have been friends since they were like 5, and I didn't want to ruin their relationship. Also, I didn't want to say anything because it'd probably put me in a weird position. I decided not to text my sister, and to just keep it to myself and stay as far away from a friend as possible. Anyway, about an hour later, my mom and sister come crashing through the front door screaming and yelling at me, calling me a dirty pedo and all sorts of names. I knew instantly what had happened, and tried to tell them the real events, but they didn't let me get a word out. They told me that my sister's friend called my sister and was bawling her eyes out, saying that I R-worded her, and hit her, and threatened to hurt her if she told anybody. They kicked me out of the house. Within minutes. They didn't even let me talk. They didn't have any proof other than her words. All I managed to grab before I left was my phone, car keys, and wallet. I'm living at a friend's place currently. I told him what happened and he thought I was joking at first because apparently it sounded like a creepy weird story or some shit. He genuinely thought I was lying. He believes me now, and believes that I didn't do anything. I've tried calling my mom and my sister, and nothing. I've messaged my brother and he says he has no clue what's happening, and he doesn't know who to believe. He's also told me that my sister's friend has been round since and she genuinely seems shaken and in shock. She must be a brilliant actress. I've just been waiting for the police to come get me since this all happened. They haven't yet. She probably didn't report me to the police because she knows there will be no evidence. Luckily no one outside of my family seems to know yet. None of my coworkers or friends have been acting differently towards me, so that's good at least. But if they decide to tell everyone what I supposedly did, I'd definitely lose my job. So yeah. I don't know what to do. It's my word against hers. But my family thinks I'm a pedo ****st now. I don't know how they can even believe that. I've lived with them my whole life. I spend most of my time with them, and they all believe that I am capable of something like this. Like, I can't tell the police, that'll likely make it worse. There's literally nothing I can do in this situation. Anyway, thanks for listening to my huge fucking mess. Other than my friend, I have no one else I can talk to that I can trust. Update. Hey. You guys wanted an update on my situation, so here it is. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to all of the people who left comments recommending I took legal action. At the time, I thought it was pointless, but just simple comments telling me to look into it helped a ton. I did some research, and found out that maybe, it wasn't as pointless as I thought. If I didn't make my original post, I would still probably be hiding away, and hoping the accusations didn't get to my coworkers and friends. Also, some of the comments and DMs I've seen and received have been awful. I've had multiple death threats in my DMs from people who have misread my post, or have come to the conclusion that I am guilty. I've seen comments saying that I must be extremely creepy for my family to believe the word of my friend's sister over me. Comments basically saying man equals rapist. And others saying I should do unspeakable things to the girl who accused me. There's also plenty of comments saying that men can't be victims, and that I have twisted the story to garner sympathy. Across my original post, and the multiple cross posts on other subs, I don't mind the comments saying that my post was fake. It's very understandable why you'd think that. The internet, especially Reddit, is full of bullshit. It's good to be weary. I've received 26 DMs, and only 4 of them have been positive. The rest have been hateful towards me, and threatening death upon me. Do better, people. Now, the update. I'm going to keep it pretty short. The day after my post, I contacted a lawyer, and had a consultation. I'm extremely lucky, because I ended up with a lawyer that is passionate about helping men who have been falsely accused. She says she's defended a dozen guys, and she's seen the damage it can do. She agreed to help me, and we met in person. She asked me a lot of questions, and made me go through my story step by step. She told me I had left it too long and that I could have been very easily cleared if I got legal help straight away. Apparently, my sister's friend could argue that any trauma could have healed by now. And also, any DNA evidence would no longer be present. So, the best option now would be to send a cease and desist to the girl's family. So I signed the documents, and she gave me a very discounted fee, which I'm really grateful for. A full lawyer fee would have hurt. Just over 24 hours later, I was notified that the letter had already been sent, which was much faster than I expected it to be. So I waited. And honestly, I didn't expect anything to happen. But 2 days ago, brother texted me saying she told me sister she lied. Apparently, she's been crying for ages, and my mom is pissed. The same day my brother told me, my sister messaged me and called a lot. I haven't opened the messages yet, because I don't want her to see that I've seen them. I want some time to think. Also, I need to wait until my lawyer says it's okay to resume contact. I'm not mad at my sister. She's been friends with this girl since they were small. And she's still a kid. This whole situation was probably pretty overwhelming for her. But my mom, I expected better. She instantly believed the accusation, and kicked me out, and she hasn't attempted to contact me at all. She should be mature enough to handle this in a proper manner, but she failed to do so. My brother is the only one who hasn't completely cast me out. He's been pretty neutral throughout the whole thing, and hasn't believed anything, although he hasn't really spoken to me much. I think I can quite easily fix my relationship with him, but it still hurts he didn't defend me 100%. As for those of you who asked why my mom and sister instantly turned on me, I've been thinking a lot since it happened. And realized my mom has always been very, believe the woman. I'm this type of stuff. During the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, she was supportive of Amber. I guess this view has rubbed off on my sister. No hate to anyone who has this same view, just stating why I think this happened. I've never done anything creepy that would make them think twice about me. What I was accused of disgusts me, so thanks again for those of you who urged me to take action, as you may have saved me. Sorry if this is hard to read, or a bit all over the place with grammar and such, I just wanted to post this, and leave all this shit behind me. Stories number 35. My entitled, and abusive, scamming brother. So I've recently come to realize my brother loves to scam family and does not like it when he gets caught. A petty example would be in 2020. When restaurants were starting to reopen in the UK, I, then 26, was going out and my brother, then 28, asked me to bring back a Five Guys meal costing £20. He promised to pay me back. I obliged and gave him the meal once I returned home. He didn't have the money right then, but promised he would pay it back soon. Around 2 days later, around 11 p.m. in the evening, he approached me in the living room, asking for a massage whilst we watched anime, something he'd regularly request, saying his back was aching badly due to working as a physiotherapist. This time I said no. I said I'm not going to do a favor like that for him until he paid me back the money he owed me. He immediately got defensive and aggressive, shouting stuff like, "You're seriously not gonna do it," hurling insults, and when I insisted I won't do anything until he pays me, he shouts, "You should have reminded me." I point out, it shouldn't be on me to have to remind you. He stormed off immediately. To this day he still hasn't paid me. I cut him off the following year. Although the above example was rather petty, I bring this up because of something my dad told me a couple of weeks ago. It turned out my dad and brother had some deal where my dad would handle his phone bill and my brother would give him the money each month. Apparently my dad realized he'd forgotten about this for months. He approached my brother and asked him if he could pay back the around £200 he owed him. Keep in mind, my brother earns over £40,000 a year and lives with my parents rent-free, so money is no issue. Apparently his response was to throw a fit, shouting at my dad and then sending him £2,000 instead despite my dad's protests. I told my dad that he was using an abuse tactic by overpaying him in an attempt to make my dad feel guilty and put him in the wrong when my dad's request was more than reasonable. I also have no doubt my brother didn't just forget to pay my dad either. No doubt he was trying to see how long he could do this for. Edit, I haven't spoken to him in 4 years. Cut him off completely after he screamed at me for never talking to him and then trying to out me as trans. I moved out in 2021. Stories number 36. It's been 3 days since moving in with my BF. After over 3 years, we finally moved in together. I was so anxious and worried after so many horror stories from friends and Reddit. I figured I needed to bite the bullet and find out if he's not the one for whatever reason. I realized 3 days is like nothing and I need more time to assess our situation, but it's already better than I expected. We had some fun the first night. While making out he spun me around so I was standing on the new cushy bath mat I asked his opinion on so I could stand on the comfort spot. We had some really great pillow talk about things I was nervous about with living together and the future and where we're headed, and he reassured me that we'd be great and I could talk to him anytime I felt off about something. He immediately catered to me, like getting my drinks and putting away my dishes. He's killed every bug I've asked him to, lol. He stops what he's doing and gives me his full attention anytime I talk to him, ask him something, show him something. We talked and made a shopping list together. He gives me a kiss anytime he walks in a room I'm in. He grabs my hand when we go to sleep in opposite directions. I sent a funny picture of me on the couch after I woke up from a nap because the sun had angled right to my face. He came over to the living room, chuckled, hugged and kissed me, and then proceeded to move the entire couch with me on it so that the sun wasn't in my face anymore. I know none of this means anything so early on, but I really hope I finally have a good one. All your stories of lazy men who put all the burden on you after living together have me on edge but also inspire me. I'm going to stand up for myself and not accept the bare minimum or a low-effort partner. Wish me luck, ladies. Stories number 37. I think my mom killed my stepdad 17 years ago. Throwaway for obvious reasons. I post regularly on my other account and I've made friends here. When I was about 7 to 9, I was living with my mom and stepdad. I'd always be curious about learning to cook and help her pack his lunch for work, etc. One morning, I noticed she tried to hide a dropper she used in a bottle to put something in berries, not his real name, coffee. I didn't really pay mind to it, but every morning she did it and would hide it and smile at me if she caught me looking. So one day, I innocently asked what she was adding to his coffee and she was like, it's my secret love potion for Barry to make his coffee taste better. So I was like, oh, I want some too, and she was like, no, you're too young and it's only for adults, but it's a secret and don't ever tell Barry or else he will want it all to himself and won't share with anyone. Upside down face to 8-year-old me. This made perfect sense and I didn't want to ruin her special recipe. Unfortunately, my stepdad passed when I was 9. Fast forward to today, I am 26 years old. My son is into mice and he left their cage open and they got out, so me and my husband went to buy a rat trap at the store and something caught my eye and made me stop dead in my tracks. Writing this now still has me trembling because I am replaying stuff in my head. Sitting at the bottom shelf was a bottle, just like the one my mom used the dropper from. The same bottle, same colored label and same everything. But what I never got to see was the label. It was rat poison. I couldn't speak, I couldn't breathe, I am frozen. I truly don't know what to do with this and I don't know who to tell. I just don't know. TLDR, my mom used rat poison to kill my stepdad and I found out accidentally about 20 years later. Stories number 38. My boyfriend applies to one job at a time, and then proceeds to tell everyone about it like he has already got the job. My boyfriend is stuck in a job he hates, and is struggling to find another one, but for some ungodly reason he finds a job and gets attached to it. He gets so excited about the prospect of working in this job, so he tells everyone about it. He won't even have an interview yet and he will be telling people he is going to become a so-and-so, and it's so embarrassing. It's been going on for like half a year now. He hasn't had a single interview yet. Everyone always asks how the job is going and one of us has to tell them he wasn't hired. It's so fucking embarrassing, yet he doesn't stop. Stories number 39. Aita for saying my sister has a victim complex. Me and Emily finally talked. My younger sister was present too. It was a really long and emotional talk and we all cried a lot. I apologized to her for how horrible I treated her and for starting so many arguments. I took full accountability. She apologized to me too for being so distant and cold. She didn't mean to hurt me or be selfish. She apologized for not being there when I unfollowed my BF on socials. She was just drained. She apologized for walking out on me and my younger sister. My younger sister started crying badly and hugged Emily. I don't know, but in that moment I just saw how maternal she was, especially to our little sister. She made Emily promise not to leave again. Emily just smiled and she promised. Emily joked about how she raised us both and we still follow her around like little ducklings, especially my littlest sister. She has a point. Her and my little sister have a 10-year age gap. My sister is 10 and Emily is 20, she used to change my little sister's nappy sometimes, feed her and put her to sleep. We just hugged her in response. She turned serious again and told us that she loves us both dearly but sometimes our dad gets too much for her and she needed a break from everything. My littlest sister offered to do more and promised to help around the house. Emily looked visibly tense at this and shook her head. She told my sister she is only 10. She shouldn't be shouldering any responsibility. She ruffled her hair and said she can handle it. It's the first time I noticed how mature Emily really is and how she speaks like someone who's 30. I took everyone's advice and told her if she wants to rant to me she can. She shook her head and kissed my head. She called me sweet but it's okay. Me and my sister asked about her boyfriend and her face lit up. I can tell she's really into him and from what she's told us he treats her well so I'm happy for her. She deserves this. I did ask her why she only talked to lil sis and mum when she came back and not me as I couldn't help myself. She admitted that she was mad at me for a bit for only thinking about myself but she realized I'm just a kid and it's not my fault so she got over it. She apologized again and I forgave her. I am still a bit worried about her as the past few days she has still been acting strange like she's hiding something but I don't know if I'm just overthinking. Either way we're all glad she's back. She's even talking to our dad normally now so I guess everything ended okay. Aita for saying my sister has a victim complex, another update. Some people have been asking for an update so. My younger sister and parents got into a fight a week ago and she screamed at them for driving Emily away. She said Emily was her only friend in the house so that was bad. Emily returned 2 days ago. My younger sister threw herself at Emily. I saw Emily shed a few tears but that's it. She hasn't spoken to anyone except my mom and my youngest sister. She's only said a few words to me and hasn't spoken to my dad at all. I overheard her on the phone with her boyfriend. She doesn't care about hiding him anymore. I tried asking about him but she said it's none of my business so I left it like that. I asked her if we could talk properly. She hesitated but she agreed and told me to wait for a few days so she can get a grip. I'll update this when we have our talk. Aita for saying my sister has a victim complex, probably final update. Well, a lot has happened. I don't really know what led up to this moment but my dad was yelling at my sister. Normally my sister tries to appease him but this time she just looked at him blankly. My mum looked teary-eyed and she was shouting at my dad in defense of my sister. Eventually my dad said something along the lines of, "You're not the only one who is stressed," and my sister snapped. She screamed at them. It all felt like a blur. All I pieced together was, I do everything for you. I have since I was 9. I'm tired of being the emotional punching bag, I listen to everyone but no one is there for me. She was full on sobbing and my heart broke for her. I went up to her and hugged her and she hugged me back crying. My dad looked even more furious and started shouting. My sister shouted back. I tried to calm her down. She only stopped when my little sister entered the room. I felt her body stiffen in my arms. She took a deep breath and hugged me and kissed my head. She hugged my little sister and kissed her head too. She whispered something to her and she walked out of the house. I'm pretty sure all she had was her phone and wallet. It's been 4 days and we haven't heard a word from her. I've been texting her and calling her constantly. She just texted me back that she's okay but that's all. No indication as to where she is. My mum is devastated and won't even be in the same room as my dad has been quiet, my little sister is so upset. She's been snappy at everyone. She doesn't want to speak to anyone unless it's about Emily. I think Emily's staying with a friend. I don't know if she'll come home. I don't blame her if she doesn't. I really miss her. I don't know what to do without her. Edit. A lot of y'all saying that my parents didn't care about my sister. They did. Especially my mum. I'll accept all criticism but I will die on the hill that my mum always favored my sister and she understood her in a way she never bothered to understand me. My dad took my side and had my back. Y'all can acknowledge my sister was a victim. I do too. But my mum was there for her so much she overlooked me. My sister had an understanding mother. I didn't. Edit 2, my younger sister found out from my mum that my older sister got a boyfriend and that's how the fight started. We're not allowed to date as my parents are strict about that kind of thing. They think her boyfriend is the causing her to change. Stories number 40. Aita for not letting my husband use airline credit for a coworker. My husband and I got married 2 years ago during the middle of COVID lockdown. We were to go to France and Germany for our honeymoon. We saved for the tickets and to be honest I paid for most of them. This is both a second marriage, both 43, and our finances have stayed separate for the most part due to my insistence. We have tried to go 3 times to our honeymoon and lockdowns or illnesses have left us stateside. My husband is very well traveled and I haven't been to many places. I have tried to talk to him about using the credit to go somewhere in the States but he insists we wait. He is stingy on money and I have paid the majority of every travel we have done, which is mostly with my children. He has made me feel really bad about wanting to change the plans because he says it's giving up on our honeymoon. I haven't been anywhere and even going to a coast would be amazing. Today when I got home from work he said he had a coworker, 25, who is stuck in Florida on vacation due to a flood that happened there recently. He says her car was totaled and has no way to get back to work her job. He offered to fly her back with our credit. I was dumbfounded. I asked if we will be paid back and he shrugged and said he doesn't feel like she needs to because she is going to RN school. I am an RN and I would hard for every dime I make working in ICU. He didn't ask me to use the credit, he assumed I would be fine with it. It only came up in conversation about how crazy his day was. Alta for saying no to use the credit on a coworker. Aita for feeling like he cared more for this woman than me. Update. Edit. I understand I don't have paragraphs. I have a brain injury and use voice to text. If it's too much for you to read, please feel free to scroll on as this isn't for you. P.S. Give people grace as they may not have the same ability as you. I just logged into an old computer and found this account that I no longer use. I had completely forgotten about it and honestly have only a vague recollection of posting it due to circumstances I will get into. The marriage ended right after this. It looks like this is almost 3 years old and I have been away from this man as of 3 years in July 2025. This was one of the last arguments we had. He told me I was very uncaring about the stranger in Florida and if I was a nice person money would be no object to get her. He then strangled me to the ground and I passed out. By this point in the marriage, I handed him my phone when I got home from work and he would give it to me when I left for work. I tried to leave several times each time I came back. When I wrote this post, I was downloading the audiobook Why Does He Do That by Bancroft and then deleting it each evening before I handed my phone to him. This book saved my life. It gave me the courage to try to get away and understand that he wasn't going to change. He had choked me several times, and he was physically abusive by this point. My 2-year marriage, I had glass in my foot, and had half my hearing from a busted eardrum in my right ear. So about a week after this post, I went to get the mail, something I was not allowed to do but something told me I needed to. In the mailbox was a $35,000 check from my inheritance of my aunt. I stuffed it in my panties and it stayed there until the next day when I could leave with my purse and my dog. I called my daughter and she came to pick me up. I didn't even have shoes on. That was July 1st, 2022. I'll save you all the work it took to get to where I am today, but I will say that my life is good. My life is joyous. My life is safe and peaceful. I'm officially divorced and it took 2 years of him kicking and screaming to do that. He is yet to pay me a dime for the house that I bought and I don't expect to see it as he is in contempt. Thank you so much for the advice that you gave me that day. I am not sure if he was having an affair with that woman or not. Most likely he was getting to the point where he was, all evidence point to that. I don't care though, I was so far gone that I don't even remember the post. It was like complaining about the smell of smoke when your whole house is on fire. Thank you again for being so gentle with me. To the woman who told me to use the credit and go to the coast a year ago, I did. I took one of my daughters and we went to Oregon and Washington. We hiked, we sunbathed on the beach. We rock-hounded. We did all the things. I don't have any ambition to go to Paris or Germany. It was never my dream. Again, thank you so much for all the support you gave me 3 years ago. Stories number 41. My wife, 35F, me, 41M. My wife went out with his coworker, and they spent 40 minutes in the car together. My wife secretly went out with her male coworker twice. The first time they went to a restaurant and went to play bowling, and the second time they went to a restaurant and movie theater. After that they found a very quiet and dark place and parked the car. There was no one or car around there at that time. They spent 40 minutes in the car. After saw these things I tried to calm down myself and I talked with her on the next day. She said that she liked the man at first, but later she only see him as a friend. She said she was wrong and felt very regretful. She cried very hard. She said that nothing happened between them in the car. She also said that they never had any physical contact before. She asked me to forgive her and not let the family break up for the sake of the children's. Now I don't know if I should believe her. If I choose to divorce, will I harm my children's? Stories number 42. Don't fuck with the person who lives above you. Hello Reddit. So I've lived in a building for over a year now and the first people I befriended lived directly below me. Let's call them J and E. J works as a chef full-time whilst E games all night and sleeps all day. BC her anxiety makes it too hard for her to work apparently. Anyway, few weeks ago J changed jobs and was running low on money going from weekly to monthly pay and asked to borrow £30. Not a huge deal, IOFC said no worries, thinking we are friends and we live in the same building so everything would be fine. He promised to pay me back in 1 week. He did not. Second late week I texted him multiple times nicely and was completely ignored. I didn't want to start drama in building or anything so I hatched a plan. The new builds in England are basically built out of cardboard and they can hear all my footsteps. I'm top floor, so since I moved in I've learned to be very gentle with my steps, to be a good neighbor. However, after the theft, I ran everywhere. Leaped from my bed each morning at 6 a.m. like a flying hippo to crash upon the floor shaking it. I stomped every step, I shuffled, I even played chased and got chased by the 7 kilograms cat to his joy. I made so much noise every morning even I started to feel a little guilty. It only took 6 days before B texted me at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning asking what my bank details were so he could transfer it over. Winning. Don't steal from the people who live directly above you, we control your sleep and general peace, you absolute muppets. Where's the logic? Edit. Guys, stop telling not to lend out money, I won't see anyone struggle to eat. I just didn't think they were dumb enough to piss off their upstairs neighbor. Stories number 43. Fiance spent a bunch of our shared wedding fund on random stuff and I told him he has to pay it back today or the wedding's off. Fiance, 30M, and I, 30F, have been engaged since last year and each putting money in a shared account that we agreed is solely for the wedding and should never be touched before then. We agreed that we each felt comfortable putting in a certain amount, me $200, him $800, since he makes 4x my salary. Today we went to make sure there was enough money to pay our photographer and we had thousands of dollars less than we should by now in the account. Fiance then admitted he may have withdrawn from the account from time to time. I had him log every single transaction that has occurred for the account in the last year and he'd spent about $3,000 of our wedding money. I told him that he needs to put that money back into the account today or the wedding is off. He says he doesn't have this amount in his bank account but could pay me over the next month. Am I being too harsh? He will likely be calling family or friends to get him to loan him the money if I continue to push, which will definitely be airing our dirty laundry. Stories number 44. Do I tell his wife? Posting from a throwaway account for obvious reasons. I recently met a man in the wild and we hit it off. Seemed great and genuine and showed a lot of interest in getting to know me. We exchanged contact information. We met up one night for a drink and he expressed his romantic interest in me and we just had a fun conversation. We ended up kissing when we said goodbye for the night and that was the last I saw him. He was saved as a contact on my phone and today he popped up on my social media as someone I may know. That was when I discovered he has a whole wife and 2 kids under 5. I'm very upset because I did not sign up to play a part in someone else's lies. I need advice here. I'm obviously never going to see this man again but I'm conflicted on my moral obligation when it comes to his wife. I don't want to make a family fall apart but I also think his wife deserves honesty. I also don't know if they're in an open marriage or if they're perhaps separated. It's a lot of unknowns. If you were the wife, would you want to know? Do I tell him I know about his wife and kids? Do I just block him and move on? Please help. I have so much anxiety over this and just want to be able to move on. Stories number 45. She ruined it. I always thought my wife and myself had a great relationship, the kind other people envied. Then she cheated, gaslit, talked down, flirted in front of me and never could see how demeaning her parents are. I asked her one day, haven't you ever wondered how difficult it is living 200 feet from your parents? Her response was simply, no. No empathy, no compassion, no consideration. I don't see her in the same way, no attraction. She tries, but I don't want her attention anymore. My 2 girls, 12 and 10, are the reason I'm here and have stuck around. Even my therapist asked me, what the F are you still there for anyway to stay and be happy with a roommate that you'd rather not bunk with? Thank you. Stories number 46. Coworker who was fired today just texted me asking for me to send her sales reports from the past year. I work for a property that is used as an events venue. Today, the owner of the property fired our events director, who, to my understanding, was on a year-long contract with the company, terminating the remainder of her term for breach of contract, not aware of the specifics here. About an hour after the rest of the team, myself included, were notified of her termination, she sent me a text message asking me to send her the sales reports of her events from the past year. I'm not sure why she needs them. I didn't respond to the message yet. Are there any legal obligations I have one way or the other to honor her request? I would assume I'm not allowed to send sales reports to an ex-employee, even if she were the one responsible for those sales. Assuming I am legally obligated to not share that report, should I avoid contacting her? Should I respond and let her know I can't do that? Do I need to contact my supervisor? Stories number 47. Aita telling her what everyone has been thinking out of rage. I, 19F, started studying to be a teaching assistant 3 years ago. That's where I met my amazing friend group, and my friend who this is about, 25F. She joined our group during the first year, around the anniversary of her father's death. Early on, we noticed she was often late or didn't show up without warning. When we asked what was going on, she told us she was struggling with the loss of her father. We understood and wanted to support her. In our second year, we started internships. I happened to be placed at the same school as her. At first, it was fun, but after 2 weeks, she started skipping without saying anything to the school, mentor, or me. She still went to classes on other days though, which confused me. Eventually, she stopped going to both school and internship altogether. We checked in again, and she repeated the same thing: life was hard, grief was overwhelming. We felt bad and tried to support her more. One of our guy friends and I even picked her up for school to help her show up. But soon, she'd decide last minute not to go, or worse, not come outside at all. When we hung out, she'd be hours late and still blamed her dad's passing. She ended up losing her internship and got an ultimatum from school. She returned for 2 weeks and then ghosted again, with no communication, no explanation, just, "It's my dad," again. Our mentor kept giving her chances. That's why she's even still in our program, which most of us find unfair. By the final year, the group had started to distance themselves. She never showed up, never texted. But recently, she's been around a bit more, if she's in the mood. She noticed we've gotten closer to others and told me we're ignoring her. I told her honestly, a lot has changed over time. Then a month ago, my grandpa passed away. A few days later she texted me about missing school and I told her why I was out, and she didn't understand why I was gone for a week. I brushed it off. A month later, she texts again saying she feels ignored and unloved. I explained why things had shifted, and she replied, "You can't possibly understand what it's like to lose someone that close." That crushed me, so yeah, I snapped. I finally told her what I, and others, had been holding in. You don't get to use grief as a permanent excuse to disappear on people who actually show up for you. We've all got pain, it's what you do with it that counts. Stop hiding behind your loss and start showing up, or stop pretending you care. This is just a small part of what I sent to her. She called me insensitive and mean. But after she dismissed my grief like it was nothing, I feel like I had every right to say it. Now I'm just wondering, was I too mean? I honestly don't know anymore. Stories number 48. I refuse to watch my GF's kids for her without an apology. Never done one of these before, might delete it later, but I really need a sanity check before this goes too far. Sorry if it's too long. We've been together 2.5 years. I love her deeply and this feels like it could be ending. There's a lot of history here that is too much to get into but also feels important. The best way to summarize is that I've, M42, always been more committed long-term to the relationship than her, F34, but I also screwed up pretty badly a few months ago, not full-on cheating but she certainly might have a right to still be pissed. She has 2 boys, 3 and 7, and I have a daughter 13. It's become a regular pattern that they stay at my place once in the middle of the week. I've spent a lot of time getting space set up for the boys and they love it here. Tonight was especially important for her because she has a busy day tomorrow at work, extremely stressful job, and a couple hours of work to do tonight to prepare. I planned a simple meal for the kids and a fancier meal for us after they go to bed. While I made dinner for the kids she seemed a bit upset, very critical, maybe a little cranky. It wasn't horrible and certainly within the bounds of what we can handle together. I just figured she was hungry and stressed. The real trouble started while the kids were eating. Her 7-year-old started pushing limits the way a 7-year-old does. He started holding his juice cup with just one finger from each hand, nearly dropping it twice. I politely asked him to hold the cup properly, which he refused. I told him if it did it again I'd have to take the juice away. He looked me square in the eye and did it again. Please bear in mind, I love this boy to pieces. As frustrated as the experience was I knew was just a normal childhood thing. I gently took the cup away and replaced it with water. When he complained his mom looked up from what she was doing and started saying that I was overreacting. That he should be allowed to have the juice and I was going to give him anxiety. I need to pause here and explain that it is an ongoing tension between us that this keeps happening, where I provide a reasonable consequence only to be countermanded by her. It's extremely upsetting to me and took me a while to figure out why. It's the difference between being a partner and a babysitter. As a babysitter, I just do what mom says with no real authority of my own, but as a partner I'm working to forge a long-term parental relationship. This is a really soft spot for me because I already behave as a parent in so many ways to the boys, Cub Scouts, doctor's appointments, school meetings, the whole 9 yards. I have a deep attachment to them but no right to them. In a second she could decide that I'll never see them again and there's nothing I could do. So when this happens and I get instantly demoted, it's actually pretty painful and scary on my side. I've tried to explain this in the past and she just rolled her eyes and said I'm being dramatic. In this moment where I was again countermanded, I could feel myself getting really angry, so I just patted her on the shoulder and said, "You seem to have this covered," and left to do the laundry. After they had finished dinner I was still pretty upset, and tried to talk to her. Kids seemed busy elsewhere in the house at that moment. She started saying she hadn't seen the whole thing, but when I tried to tell her she interrupted me 3 times in a row. When I tried to tell her why I was upset she interrupted me again. I started to say that I wasn't going to watch the boys anymore until we talked this through, including tonight. She pointed out that she didn't have time and we couldn't do it in front of the kids anyway, and I relented. I said we could talk later and I'll watch the boys, but I needed her to understand the shitty situation I was being put in. Her response was to roll her eyes and say I was just being dramatic. I'll admit it. I snapped. I hit some kind of breaking point. I told her that until she could acknowledge the way I was being treated I would not be taking care of the boys. Starting now, we fought a little more. I cleaned up and got things ready for their bath while she got some work done. I didn't think she thought I was serious about not watching the boys until I told her that I'd make her dinner while she put the boys to bed. She got pretty mad. I told her all I need was 1 or 2 sentences to be back on duty, and she started talking about how long she'll be up tonight. I interrupted her and said she was being dramatic before walking away. Not my proudest moment. I apologized for waking away when I returned a few moments later. Shit really hit the fan about 10 minutes later when her 3-year-old walked out of his room with no pants on. Important to note that he's special needs and there is a real chance of him pooping or peeing somewhere. I laughed, called him Pooh Bear, and took the dog outside for a walk. When I got back in she was putting pants back on him, saying she was packing both boys up and going to her mother's so she can put them down for her. I told her that seemed unnecessary when all I needed was some kind of acknowledgement that I'm back on duty. She basically ignored me as she gathered everything up and left. I repeated a couple times that it wasn't necessary for her to leave. I can't remember exactly what I said, so that probably means it was getting less nicely put in the end. It's been about 5 hours and I haven't heard anything from her. The 7-year-old seemed pretty sad when they left and I'm really worried that he'll think this was all because of the damn juice. From my point of view my choice was to either let her leave or say it's okay to be treated that way and still expect to use me. I couldn't bring myself to say it was okay. It doesn't seem like I was asking for a lot, and it was something I really needed. So, am I the asshole? Stories number 49. Aita, for thinking this isn't okay. I am not sure if this the right thread, but I need opinions. My BF, 34M, and I, 29F, have been dating for about 8 months. We live an hour away from each other, which I have zero issues with, and I happily make the drive to him every time. He has driven to me twice in those 8 months. With that being said, the last few months with his work schedule we maybe see each other 1 full day, generous estimation, during the week. A good example is I get to his house usually Friday or Saturday late afternoon early evening, due to his schedule, and we both leave around 10, 11 a.m. the next day. We recently talked about trying to make a weekday during dinner work, in which I have communicated, this and many other times, I am more than happy to prioritize him and make myself available despite my work and own life for whatever time he can make for us time. I need to clarify a few things. I have absolutely no issue with him working the hours he has to in order to get his work done. I have had to cancel a few nights due to work, not as frequently, but things happen. I absolutely respect that. There are nights he does not work late and never once has asked to meet or see if I have time to do dinner, but instead goes out with a friend. This has not been the course of our whole relationship, but the past 3-4 months have been like this. The nights we do see each other, he's generally on his phone playing a game. We really don't spend quality time together. Aita, for thinking this isn't okay. I don't want to be someone's life and full priority, but I mean come on. Stories number 50. I was a candid shooter in HS, 5 years anniversary clean. I, 22M, deeply regret my actions. Very long story short, from ages 14 to 17 I was a gooner. At 15 I had hit my breaking point, moved schools, lost all my friends, counselor abandoned, forgot about me, dealing with domestic issues and divorce at home as a teetotaler, etc. During that time I discovered candid shooting, candids, aka creep shots, and a large community surrounding it. To them it was a hobby, akin to fishing. Shortly after I became one myself. It then proceeded to consume my entire life 7 to 8 hours a day for the next 2 years. I would film 2 to 3 hours a day, edit and organize, etc. Had built myself a foolproof filming rig, backup plans in place, spreadsheets, TB of OC material, all organized and indexed and built of a collection that I never shared. Thankfully COVID happened. I was sent home and had time to think. I decided that life wasn't for me. I took a sledgehammer to everything. It's been 5 years and has been clean since. Fast forward years later, I'm swiping on a dating app and I see a girl that I had a collection of in school and a wave of shame set in. I worry about hiding this secret for the rest of my life. Living with the guilt and shame that comes along with it. I am thinking of starting therapy for the main thing that drove me, OCD, but worried about being charged. Stories number 51. Had the best night of my life with a girl I might never see again. I, 28M, want to tell this story because I don't really tell anyone about my dating love life and I want to share for anyone who wants to read. Sorry, kinda lengthy. About a year ago, I went to a bachelor party in a city that revolves around gambling and casinos. The last night there, my friends and I decided to go to a nightclub and that's when I met her. I'm not kidding you when I say this, but I walked in, and she immediately caught my eye. My friends were on their way to buy drinks at the bar and I stopped my friend Billy to show him. I said, "She's so pretty, I gotta talk to her," and then he said, "Do it then." I don't know what came over me, but I can only describe it as what Popeye must feel like when he eats spinach. The pre-game shots we took in the room before also gave me a little courage, but without skipping a beat, I just walked over there. I never make the first move because I hate going up to women without knowing if they're interested or not, but for some reason it just felt right and the fear of rejection wasn't in my mind at all. She was standing with a group of her friends and I cut in. I said something along the lines of, "Excuse me, I saw you from over there and I wanted to say hi." Then I immediately turned to her friends and said, "Sorry for interrupting, but your friend is really pretty, and I wanted to introduce myself." Before I could say my name, she asked me what mine was and from there we were with each other the whole night. There were moments of long eye contact with no speaking, sensual touching, and we eventually kissed. But it wasn't even about the physical stuff. We were making each other laugh. She's ambitious, don't want to dox what she does for work, and I felt that we were both genuinely interested in learning more about each other. After some time in the club, her friends were hyping us up like friends do with comments like, "You guys look good together," or egging us on to kiss more, so I know it wasn't just me who was feeling this. But the catch of this whole story is that we live in different cities that are about an 8-hour drive apart. She gave me her number and Instagram, and when the night ended, I walked her and her friends outside to her Uber. Now this is where it goes downhill. The day after, we were texting for a bit and then all of a sudden she stopped. I checked Instagram, and she is following me, but she won't let me follow her. Her account is private, and it shows as requested till this day. I've posted stories on my Instagram since, and she's seen a couple of them, so I know she won't accept my follow on purpose. I've thought about texting her again, but I don't want to triple text. Yes, I have already double texted, but that was a week after this happened. Leave me alone. I also have a theory that she may have a boyfriend, but her friend saying those things about us confuses me unless they hate the guy. It could also be the distance, and I was just a vacation fling, so I get it, but damn, it just sucks. Thanks for reading. Stories number 52. The divorce that I never wanted has been finalized. Today marked the official end of my marriage, and I'm really struggling. The last 12 months have been incredibly difficult, and as a result, I've been dealing with severe depression and loneliness. I'm 26, and I moved away from my family to start a life in the Midlands. I married the love of my life and we had 2 amazing sons, but now, I feel more alone than ever. Today, I received an email saying that my divorce has been finalized. Seeing those words really hit me hard. It made me realize how much I still love my ex-wife and how much I wish I could go back and fix the mistakes I made. I can still see my kids regularly, but when I'm at the empty family home, I'm overwhelmed with memories of better times. I know I have people who care about me, but it doesn't stop the loneliness from consuming me. To make matters worse, my ex has moved on and is happy with someone else. It hurts so much to see her doing well, while I feel stuck and broken. I've tried pretending everything is fine, but I'm really struggling. I feel lost and don't know how to get through this. Stories number 53. Nonprofit cost themselves a massive financial bailout. I was going to buy a building that was completely decimating a nonprofit who had no business owning their building and was being crushed by the mortgage. I am almost 40 and was about to pour in millions of my own money because I thought I could use the part of the building that they weren't using, benefiting all, and a good investment. It was exactly the kind of bailout they needed to survive. After a few months of talking and negotiating and getting to know each other, the various execs were all in, and then to finalize the deal they brought in the only person on their board who understood real estate. That person met me and was very skeptical because I look young. They asked me for references to prove that I would run my separate business in a way they approved of. I said no, that I will give them all the money up front in cash like every other real estate deal I've ever been involved in, and that if that wasn't good enough they could look for someone else to save them. They decided they didn't trust me and walked away. I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure they declared bankruptcy soon after and lost the building to the bank without seeing a cent. I'm keeping an eye open for a foreclosure sale to see if I can pick up the property on the cheap. ETA, I was using a very reputable big law firm, the main big real estate firm in my area, and had approached them via my connections in their industry. I get that they thought that, but the difference in tone when we talked on the phone versus when they saw me was really stark. I have a pretty extensive record online of my professional history, including my professional licenses. They indicated that they had done an extensive background check. Stories number 54.